Chapter 1366. Brother Ning, are we leaving? Kong Zai and Ning Cheng were already very familiar with each other. He also knew that Ning Cheng had invited him here because he was probably preparing to leave the beyond of heaven and earth. Therefore, he asked directly as soon as he entered. Ning Cheng nodded and spoke, "Yes, we will leave immediately. By the way, I have another question to ask you. Do you know about the Chaos Realm?" Kong Zai smiled slightly and replied without any surprise, "Burning Talisman must have told you this. People at our level all know about the Chaos Realm. However, it's very difficult to find the Chaos Realm. Even if you find it, it's very difficult to enter the third step of Dao validation. Burning Talisman indeed told me about it. But why is it so difficult to reach Dao confirming realm even after finding it?" Ning Cheng felt puzzled. Kong Zai explained patiently, "There are three difficulties in entering the Chaos Realm. The first difficulty is that it's very difficult to find the Chaos Realm. The second difficulty is that even if we find the edge of the Chaos Realm, we still need the Chaos Jade Talisman." Ning Cheng's heart moved. Was the ancient Jade Talisman that Burning Talisman gave him the Chaos Jade Talisman? Kong Zai continued, "The third difficulty is that if you are not careful in the Chaos Realm, you will be torn apart by the Dao runes. Even if one was able to block those Dao rhymes, it was still possible for one to turn into a lunatic. There were very few who could reach the third step of Dao validation. Of course, every divine emperor who proved his Dao in the Chaos Realm is a peerless powerhouse. Brother Kong, what kind of place is the Chaos Realm?" Ning Cheng asked again. Kong Zai said with yearning, "I heard that at the beginning of the universe, when the primordial chaos was just divided, the laws of heaven and earth were in a mess. However, the heavenly Dao was natural. After the baptism of time, the messy heavenly Dao laws gradually formed a clear hierarchy. The Chaos Realm is a realm that was formed when the universe first separated. Because there are too many chaotic laws in this realm, the various auras are too mottled, and it is impossible to distinguish the levels. In the end, it condensed into a realm. Then, if the Chaos Realm still has the Dao charm of the Chaos laws, doesn't it mean that even if we enter the Chaos Realm now, it would be almost the same as facing the boundary where the primal chaos first separated?" Ning Cheng asked in amazement. Kong Zai nodded and said, "That's right. Even though there is a slim chance of survival in the Chaos Realm, many people still want to find this place and enter. Do you know who the experts in the first creation war were? Almost all of those sovereigns had come into contact with the aura of the great Dao of primal chaos when the universe first separated. It was precisely because of this that they were incomparably powerful. It was just that when the universe was first formed, the laws of the great Dao were not complete, and cultivation required twice the effort for half the result. Now, even though there was no aura of the great path of chaos, the great path rules were very complete, and the concept of cultivation had been developed to the extreme. Even without the aura of the great Dao of chaos, there were still many experts. This is also why the possessors of treasures of fortune are so powerful. It's because the possessors of treasures of fortune can sense some primal chaos aura." Ning Cheng understood what Kong Zai meant. Although the Chaos Realm had a slim chance of survival, it contained the aura of the primal chaos Grand Dao. If one could enter the Chaos Realm to gain enlightenment and reach the third step, one would naturally be an expert among experts. At this point, Kong Zai smiled again. The Chaos Realm is very difficult to find. Only those with creation treasures have the opportunity to come into contact with it. Even if he wanted to come into contact with them, he would have to go to the dark void. In the vast universe, there were billions of dark voids. Who could search for them one by one? Of course, if you possess a creation treasure, you might be able to sense the aura of the Chaos Realm's great Dao of primal chaos even more. Kong Zai stopped here. He suddenly understood why Burning Talisman told Ning Cheng about the Chaos Realm. Burning Talisman suspected that Ning Cheng had a creation treasure. Ning Cheng had just advanced to the Dao integration realm, yet he was already so powerful. It was normal for him to have a creation treasure. Ning Qing finally understood why Burning Talisman had desperately tried to get close to him. Burning Talisman definitely didn't just want to join forces with him to find the Chaos Realm. There had to be other reasons. Ning Qing suddenly thought of the sacred Dao sect master, Yi Mo, and Xing Shi. Both of them had creation treasures. They had chased him all the way and had gone to many places. Perhaps they had already come into contact with the Chaos Realm. In the previous competition, the two of them had left at the same time. It was also possible that they were competing to go to the Chaos Realm first. Brother Kong, apart from the Chaos Jade Talisman, is there any other way to enter the Chaos Realm? Ning Qing quickly asked, thinking that Yi Mo and Xing Shi might have gone to the Chaos Realm first. Kong Zai thought about it for a while before shaking his head and saying, the Chaos Jade Talisman was also formed when the universe first separated. Perhaps other objects formed when the universe first separated also have a way to enter. This is just my speculation. Then what about the law world? For example, time law world, space law world. Ning Qing had a premonition thinking about the time law world Yi Mo created outside Earth. Yi Mo and Xing Shi probably found a way to enter the Chaos Realm because of that exam question. Then, Yi Mo went to find the time law world while Xing Shi probably went to find another way to enter. Kong Zai nodded, the law world is indeed something formed when the universe first separated, but I haven't been to the border of the Chaos Realm so I'm not sure. Ning Qing suddenly had an urgent thought, he wanted to go back to Earth to take a look. Yi Mo didn't leave for long. If he could make it in time, he could catch up to Yi Mo and go to the Chaos Realm with Yi Mo. Since it was an opportunity, it wasn't for everyone. If he fell behind, he might never have the chance to vindicate third step in the Chaos Realm. Even if he reached creation state, he would be a far cry from Yi Mo and Xing Shi. Ning Qing didn't want to go from being on the same level to being a level weaker. With his current power, he couldn't just tear open the void and go back to Earth. He could only go back to the four great cosmos first and then go back to Yi Xing continent and then find a way back. Great Beginning Realm. Ever since Zhu Qinyi had dealt with Lu Dongzi, the Society Master of Elixir Association, and Lord of Dao Tai Su had come here to fight with Zhu Qinyi, no one else had come here, nor had anyone come out. This was because this realm was sealed. If it wasn't for the person who sealed the realm opening it, outsiders would have to force their way in. Or perhaps a peerless Almighty would tear apart this domain seal. Naturally, no one in the five great realms dared to break the realm seal of the Great Beginning Realm. Similarly, no powerful being could tear open the realm seal. Even Kong Zai, who was standing outside the realm seal of the Primordial Beginning Realm, sighed and said, Brother Ning was able to escape from here back then. It was already very impressive. Although Zhu Qinyi lost 90% of his power, his control of the Great Beginning Realm hasn't weakened at all. No wonder he wants the five soil. He wants to repair the Great Beginning Realm. Even Kong Zai couldn't open the realm seal. Ning Qing chuckled, I was lucky to escape before he completely sealed it. If I had been a little bit slower, I'm afraid I wouldn't have been able to stand here today. Apart from blasting this realm seal, I really can't help you with my current ability. Kong Zai stared at the powerful realm seal in front of him and spoke with some frustration. Ning Qing grabbed a handful of array flags and said, Brother Kong, rest assured. You just need to help me keep an eye on it and don't let Zhu Qinyi slip away. After saying that, Ning Qing kept throwing out array flags. On the side, Kong Zai looked on in amazement at the originally flawless domain sealing restriction. But under Ning Qing's array flags, it clearly became clearer. He knew that Ning Qing was proficient in the array Dao, but he didn't expect Ning Qing's array Dao to be this powerful. With such a powerful array Dao level in the competition, Missouri Zhou wouldn't even have a chance at first place. After the restriction array appeared, Ning Qing suddenly pointed out with a finger. Since he wasn't dealing with a strong enemy, Ning Qing didn't need to go all out to use his order-breaking finger. Boom! A dull shattering sound rang out. Ning Cheng took a step forward and raised his hand to grab it. Ning Cheng tore open a gap that was dozens of feet long, and a clear appearance of the primordial realm appeared between Ning Cheng and Kong Zai's spiritual consciousness. I'll go in first. You stay here and prevent Zhu Qinyi from escaping. After Ning Cheng said that, he stepped into the primordial realm first. Ning Cheng knew that Zhu Qinyi's escape method was very powerful. Sure enough, as soon as Ning Cheng landed on the primordial realm's realm, Zhu Qinyi's powerful aura rushed over. To Ning Cheng's relief, Zhu Qinyi didn't escape but stood in front of him. Even Ning Cheng was secretly shocked by the speed at which Zhu Qinyi's strength soared. How long had it been? Zhu Qinyi was already at the late-stage Dao integration realm. Ning Cheng, what enmity do I have with you? I sealed my realm, but you still forced it open. You're going too far, Zhu Qinyi scolded sternly. He was also secretly shocked. When Ning Cheng had first come here, he had only been at the late-stage primordial chaos. This time, he was actually at the early-stage Dao integration realm. He had only reached the late-stage Dao integration realm when he had recovered his strength in his own realm. Was Ning Cheng also recovering his strength? No, that was definitely not the case. It was precisely because Ning Cheng's strength had risen so terrifyingly and he had forcibly torn open his realm seal that he didn't dare to act rashly. Otherwise, he would have attacked Ning Cheng as soon as he appeared. Although his current strength was several times stronger than it had been in the past, Ning Cheng had advanced from primordial chaos to Dao integration, so his strength was probably several times stronger. He hadn't been Ning Cheng's match back then, and he still wasn't Ning Cheng's match now. Ning Cheng's aura locked onto Zhu Qinyi and he said calmly, I told you that I won't let you off since you took away my stationary soil. Today, I'm here to ask for something from you. Dream on. Even though he knew that he wasn't Ning Cheng's match, Zhu Qinyi wasn't willing to hand over stationary soil to Ning Cheng. There was a limited amount of chaotic 5 soil. Even though he had obtained a piece of stationary soil, it didn't mean that he could get a second piece. This was related to his reunification of the realm. How could he hand it over to Ning Cheng? Where's your book? Ning Cheng asked, seemingly surprised. Zhu Qinyi snorted. With a wave of his hand, an ancient book filled with the aura of an emperor appeared above Zhu Qinyi's head. Chapter 1367. It's you. Kong Zai. Zhu Qinyi was immediately stunned. He thought that Kong Zai's soul had been destroyed and he had long since died. Even if Kong Zai didn't perish and reincarnate, it was impossible for him to cultivate to the point where his strength surpassed him so quickly, right? Yes, it's me, Kong Zai. Zhu Qinyi, I, Kong Zai, have never let you down. Not to mention you, I, Kong Zai, have never plotted against my friends behind their backs. Why did you do this? Kong Zai looked extremely disappointed. Zhu Qinyi finally reacted, he gave a sigh, and without any hesitation he threw the Tai Chi Human King art in his hands to Kong Zai, and then took out a jade box and threw it to Ning Cheng. I'll give it to you, if you want to kill then go ahead. Ning Cheng grabbed the jade box and swept out with his spiritual consciousness, confirming that the jade box indeed contained the stabilizing soil. He was also quite confused. Zhu Qinyi truly felt ashamed, and that was why he took the initiative to return the item, and then wait for death. No, Ning Cheng quickly understood. He had fought with Zhu Qinyi before, long knowing that Zhu Qinyi was vicious and merciless, that he definitely wouldn't hand over something out of shame. The reason he handed over the item was because he knew that he had no chance of escaping in front of him and Kong Zai, so he might as well be more straightforward. Kong Zai grasped the Taiji Human King incantation that he had lost for who knew how many years and had once again returned to his hands, filled with emotion. When he was plotted against and robbed of the Tai Chi Human King art, he didn't even know who dared to do it. Unexpectedly, it was Zhu Qinyi. You have the remote beginning eternal heaven art, so why did you plot against me and seize my ultimate Human King art? Kong Zai didn't attack Zhu Qinyi, instead asking with a serious voice. Zhu Qinyi said with a desolate expression, because I was plotted against by Xiao Wen, the primordial beginning eternal heaven technique was snatched away by him. I saw that you were heavily injured, so I had evil intentions. So if you want to kill me now, I have no objections. Impossible. Kong Zai said without hesitation, Big Brother Xiao Wen has an extraordinary bearing and is compatible with the world. How could he plot against you and snatch the remote beginning eternal heaven technique? Zhu Qinyi frowned slightly and said, he plotted against me, believe it or not, it's up to you. Ning Qing did not speak. The remote beginning eternal heavenly technique was on him, and the origin of this cultivation method was indeed related to Xiao Wen. He didn't know if Xiao Wen had plotted against Zhu Qinyi, nor did he want to know. As for returning the remote beginning eternal heaven technique to Zhu Qinyi, Ning Qing had never thought about it. If it was something that belonged to Kong Zai, he might have returned it. He did not have a good impression of Zhu Qinyi. Fellow Daoist Ning, let's go. In any case, we are brothers, I don't want to kill him. Kong Zai did not continue to pursue this matter, but looked at Ning Qing. Obviously, he wanted Ning Qing to let Zhu Qinyi off this time. The primal beginning world was Zhu Qinyi's territory. Since he didn't want to kill Zhu Qinyi, he could only leave. As for killing Zhu Qinyi or not, Ning Qing did not care much about it. If Kong Zai wanted revenge, he would support him. If Kong Zai was not willing to take revenge, he would not say anything. Ning Qing and Kong Zai walked out of the primordial world, and Kong Zai remained silent. Ning Qing didn't know how to comfort Kong Zai. Back then, the 5 Dao monarchs of the 5 grand realms were quite close. After leaving the primal beginning realm, Kong Zai took the initiative to say, Brother Ning, although the 5 of us competed back then, we were like brothers. They even participated in the creation war together. It was also because of the creation war that the 5 of us died. Xiao Wen has always been our big brother. He is generous and forthright, and he is also the strongest. I really find it hard to believe that he would plot against Zhu Qinyi and snatch the primordial heavenly technique. But my intuition tells me that Zhu Qinyi did not lie. Ning Qing patted Kong Zai on the shoulder and decided not to hide it from Kong Zai. Brother Kong, I once went to the Jiaoliang Sea. I saw Xiao Wen's remains in the Jiaoliang Sea. Of course, I don't know if the person who died was Xiao Wen or not. Dao Monarch Formless died in the Jiaoliang Sea. Kong Zai's expression suddenly turned gloomy when he heard this. He then murmured, yes, he and Dao Monarch Formless' second son, Nie Xiu, were good friends. Ning Qing continued, Nie Xiu indeed died there. Dao Monarch Formless should have been seriously injured by the good fortune indestructible Axe's axe line Dao Charm. At that time, he couldn't expel the Dao Charm aura and finally died in the North Duke Mansion. Did you see anything there? Kong Zai asked worriedly. But he only asked half of the sentence and didn't continue. Ning Qing knew what Kong Zai wanted to ask and simply said, I did see the remote beginning eternal heaven technique. I have this cultivation method with me now. Kong Zai remained silent for a long time before giving out a long sigh. Back then, the 5 of us found the 5 grand realms. After opening them, we snatched 5 groups of innate Dao Charm golden lights. Among them, Dao Monarch Formless Xiao Wen obtained the Devil Scroll and the Dao Scroll. Dao Monarch Changtian Zhu Qinyi obtained the Heaven Scroll and the Dao Scroll. Dao Monarch Supreme Unity Bei Yingshu obtained the Immortal Scroll and the Buddha Scroll. Dao Monarch Grand Beginning. Dao Monarch Earth Shen Yun obtained the Earth Scroll and the Dao Monarch Grand Simplicity. I obtained the Human Scroll and the Dao Monarch Grand Ultimate. At that time, the 5 of us roamed the vast void and talked about the endless years. At this point, Kong Zai paused for a long time before giving out another long sigh. At that time, the 5 of us worked together with great ambitions and even named the 5 grand realms good fortune. Unfortunately, things have changed. No matter how high we cultivate, no matter how long we live, we still can't see through it. The human heart. When Ning Qing heard Kong Zai's words, he swallowed the words to ask Kong Zai to help him check if Shen Yun was in the Tao Monarch Grand Simplicity. Whether Shen Yun was there or not, he was Kong Zai's friend. Inviting Kong Zai to deal with Shen Yun now would be a bit unreasonable. It was just like a new friend inviting him to deal with Tai Shu Shi. How could he do such a thing? Kong Zai obviously saw Ning Cheng's embarrassment, and the nostalgic look on his face had long since dissipated. He spoke with a calm tone, "Don't you have a Tao court in the Grand Essence Realm and a Grand Essence Mountain? When you repair the Grand Essence Realm, I will leave. If you have something to do, you can go ahead and do it. With me in the Grand Essence Mountain, nothing will go wrong." Ning Cheng cupped his fists and said, "Many thanks, Brother Kong." He understood Kong Zai's meaning. Whether Shen Yun was hiding in the Grand Essence Realm or not, he wouldn't tell Ning Cheng about Shen Yun's whereabouts. But he also promised to stay in the Grand Essence Mountain and help Ning Cheng defend his territory. Even if Shen Yun came back, it wouldn't cause any harm to Ning Cheng. This kind of result, for Ning Cheng, could not be any better. In fact, even if Tao Monarch Earth was in the Grand Essence Realm, Ning Cheng wouldn't be afraid of him. An Earth Tao Lord would at most have the same strength as Kong Zai. Even if he was strong, he wouldn't be ridiculously strong. After Kong Zai obtained the Tai Chi Human King technique, his strength would definitely surpass his own. But with his strength after Tao perfection, coupled with the Grand Essence Mountain's defensive array, he wouldn't be any weaker than Shen Yun. The only thing he worried about was what would happen if Shen Yun appeared when he wasn't in the Grand Essence Realm. According to Shen Yun's thinking, he might even consider the Grand Essence Realm as his own territory. If he were to recover, the Taisu Tao Court would be destroyed by him. This kind of ancient powerhouse would never care about his life. But with Kong Zai's promise, he wouldn't care about it anymore. What's more, once he started to repair the Grand Essence Realm, even if Shen Yun hid in a hidden corner, he would know about it. Everything in the Grand Essence Realm remained the same. Under Li Feng's control, nothing happened to the Grand Essence Tao Court. As soon as Ning Cheng came back, Li Feng knew about it and was the first one to greet him. "Court Pillar Li, you've worked hard while I was away." Ning Cheng saw Li Feng and quickly greeted her. Although Ning Cheng was Li Feng's Tao Lord, he still respected Li Feng. Li Feng had helped the Tao Court the most, and he didn't have much selfishness. His only selfishness was to wait for Ning Cheng to repair the Grand Essence Realm and let the mysterious ancient tribe prosper again. For this selfishness, he was even willing to take out his growth rings. Li Feng looked at Ning Cheng in shock. "Tao Lord, did you succeed in Tao perfection?" Ning Cheng smiled slightly. "Yes, I succeeded in Tao perfection. I won't be back for long this time, and I'll go out again soon. When I come back, I'll take you guys to Tao perfection." Speaking of this, Ning Cheng sighed in his heart. Tao perfection was only difficult in the Grand Essence Realm, where the laws were broken. In a place like the mysterious yellow heavens beyond, Tao perfection holy emperors were nothing. "Good, good," Li Feng said happily. He believed that Ning Cheng wouldn't lie to him. Of course, he was happy about Tao perfection, but more importantly, how powerful would Ning Cheng be after Tao perfection? One could say that the Grand Essence Realm had no worries. When Ning Cheng was at primordial chaos, he could easily kill Tao perfection holy emperors. Now that Ning Cheng had reached Tao perfection, there was no need to mention his strength. By the way, Court Pillar Li, did Han Qianwei do anything? Although Ning Cheng wasn't worried about Han Qianwei, he still asked. "No, Deacon Han has already found a lot of repair materials. I've observed him for a while, and he's doing his best. It looks like he really wants the Grand Essence Realm to be repaired as soon as possible." Li Feng replied. Ning Cheng nodded. "I still lack a kind of balanced soil. I've already gathered all the other materials. Once I find the balanced soil, the Grand Essence Realm can be repaired." When Li Feng heard that there was only one kind of balanced soil missing, he immediately became excited. If it weren't for the fact that this kind of thing couldn't be disclosed casually, he would have told everyone in the Grand Essence Realm. When Ning Qing said that he wanted to repair the Grand Essence Realm, he thought it was just a belief. The reason why he fully supported Ning Qing was because he wanted the Grand Essence Realm to have this belief. How many years had passed since then? Ning Qing really had a way to repair the Grand Essence Realm. He, Li Feng, really didn't read the wrong person. Ning Qing could feel Li Feng's excitement. He cupped his fists and said to Li Feng again, "Court Pillar Li, I'll only be gone for a short time this time. If there's anything you can't solve, go straight to Grand Essence Mountain. I've already occupied a place in heavens beyond. When the Grand Essence Realm is repaired, I'll build a teleportation array to heavens beyond here. Tao Monarch, don't worry." Luo Xian nodded and spoke with a slightly hoarse voice, "If it weren't for Jing Yi's special reminder, I'm afraid that no one in stately River Star would have been able to escape. Did that woman from the everlasting sacred shrine do it?" Ning Qing suddenly thought of the saintess Xu Chang he saw in the mysterious yellow heavens beyond. With Xu Chang's strength, she couldn't destroy stately River Star. It must have been done by that evil woman Xing Shi. Ning Qing clenched his fists and wished he could immediately kill that evil woman to avenge all the innocent people in stately River Star. Luo Xian nodded, "That woman, Xu Chang, can't destroy stately River Star. It's her new master. I haven't met her master, but I heard rumors that she stepped on a green lotus and smashed the entire stately River Star with a raise of her hand." Even after such a long time, Luo Xian still spoke in a sad tone. She had cultivated in stately River Star for so long that she had already developed feelings for it. Moreover, she had many friends in stately River Star. But now, these friends were all gone. If it weren't for Ning Qing holding back his killing intent, the laws around him would have already collapsed. When that bitch Xu Chang went to the mysterious yellow heavens beyond, he actually let her go. Luo Xian continued, "Fortunately, Senior Apprentice Brother set up a teleportation array in stately River Star when he left. When Jing Yi learned that Xu Chang was coming to take revenge on you, she quickly came to stately River Star to send a message. She told us to evacuate, but unfortunately, Xu Chang and her master came too quickly. Only a few of us managed to escape, but she smashed stately River Star with a slap. Except for a few people who escaped, no one was spared from stately River Star. Because I left first, I was lucky enough to escape. Since Vice Sect Master Tsang stayed behind, I'm afraid he wouldn't be able to escape." Thinking of the kindness Vice Sect Master Tsang showed to all the disciples of the mysterious Yellow Sect, Luo Xian couldn't continue. How vicious. Ning Qing took in a deep breath. Stately River Star had a population of hundreds of millions. This woman named Xu Chang was just as vicious as Xing Shi. If he didn't kill Xing Shi and Xu Chang, he would rather not go to the gate of good fortune. Ning Cheng's eyes turned a little red, but he didn't speak. Lanya and Shi Yulan also didn't speak. The atmosphere at this moment was a bit depressing. "The three of you, come with me." A sudden voice interrupted Ning Cheng's thoughts. The one who spoke was a woman in the heaven-seated realm. She looked very beautiful, but her tone was cold. "Where to?" Ning Cheng looked at the Lanya trio in doubt and asked. Shi Yulan quickly replied, "I asked Earth Pill Grandmaster Dao Su to refine a severing filth-shadowed heavenly pill." Because many people wanted to ask Earth Pill Grandmaster for alchemy, the three of us lined up here. So that was the case. Shi Yulan was at the late stage of Heaven's Mandate Realm and was about to break through to the Heaven-seated realm. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng took the initiative to speak up, "You don't need to refine this medicinal pill. I can help you." Shi Yulan bit her lip, although she didn't want Ning Cheng to help. However, the price of asking Dao Su to refine a severing filth-shadowed heavenly pill was sky-high. Although she lined up here, whether she could afford the crystal stones was another matter. If she couldn't afford the crystal stones, she would have to help Pill Grandmaster Dao Su. Similarly, even if she could afford the crystal stones, it would take a long time before she could ask Dao Su for alchemy. Once the refinement failed, she could only blame herself for suffering a loss. However, Dao Su rarely failed in alchemy, and the quality of the medicinal pills he produced was very good. Luo Xian also calmed down a lot at this moment. After listening to Ning Cheng's words, she also tried to persuade him. Senior apprentice sister Yulan, even vice sect master admires senior apprentice brother Ning's Tao of alchemy. Why don't you ask senior apprentice brother Ning for help? Shi Yulan stood up and gave a slight bow to Ning Cheng. Many thanks, senior apprentice brother Ning. Ning Cheng waved his hand. You're welcome. Let's leave this place first and then discuss it. Ning Cheng intended to return a true spirit world to Shi Yulan. The true spirit world in his hands belonged to Shi Yulan in the past. Over the years, he had no idea how many true spirit worlds he had obtained. Lanya and the other two immediately followed Ning Cheng and stood up. When the heaven-seated woman saw Shi Yulan and the other two about to leave, her face suddenly sank. She stopped in front of them and spoke with an unfriendly tone. Is Master Saber free? Since you've made an appointment, you have to go up. Luo Xian spoke up with some doubts. This elder sister, we've already paid a lot of crystal stones for the appointment. Now that we don't want the crystal stones and don't want to perform alchemy, can't we just leave? That's right. Since you've made an appointment, you have to go up. The woman spoke with an expressionless face. At this moment, a cold snort arrived and fell into the ears of Shi Yulan and the other two. It made Shi Yulan and the other two tremble, and their faces turned pale. From beginning to end, Ning Cheng didn't make a move. Instead, his spiritual consciousness passed through the restrictions and saw a man in the booth upstairs. This man had early-stage eternal cultivation and wore a starry sky Taoist robe. He looked like a celestial being. In front of him, a huge pill furnace was suspended, with a flame burning under the pill furnace. Obviously, this Taoist didn't want Shi Yulan and the other two to pay the queue fee and leave. Ning Cheng felt unhappy in his heart, yet someone took the initiative to find him. He could only blame this Dao Su for being unlucky. Let's go up and have a look. You lead the way. Ning Cheng glanced at the woman and spoke with a somewhat unpleasant tone. The woman didn't even look at Ning Cheng and took the initiative to go upstairs. Ning Cheng gave Lanya and the other two a meaningful glance, and the three of them, along with Ning Cheng, followed the woman upstairs. Chapter 1369. Previously, when he had swept out with his spiritual consciousness downstairs, Ning Cheng did not care about it. When Ning Cheng entered the Dao Mausoleum's room, he immediately stared at the huge cauldron suspended in the middle of the room. Because on the edge of the cauldron, there were two small seal characters engraved, 5 clones. An ordinary cauldron suddenly became extraordinary because of these 2 words. He knew about this cauldron, and he had heard about it more than once. In Lu Dongsa's book on plants and vegetation, he had seen the 5-star cauldron. Apart from that, when he was exploring the heaven and earth god's grave mound, he found many broken jade slips, and one of them recorded the 5 silvery cauldron. It was rumored that Tao Lord Shenong was the number 1 pill saint in the universe, just like how Tao Lord Fate had control over fate. Tao Lord Shenong had control over all the spirit herbs and alchemy in the world. Tao Lord Shenong had 3 famous cauldrons. The first was the Shenong cauldron, the second was the 5-headed cauldron, and the third was the Yen cauldron. Before Tao Lord Shenong had reached the 3rd step, he had been called the Flame Emperor. Other than that, there were also people who referred to him as the great god farmer of the 5 seas. What made it even more difficult for Ning Cheng to contain his emotions was that Tao Lord Shenong also obtained his Tao from Earth. In the history of Wuxia on Earth, there were rumors of Emperor Yen. Coupled with Tao Lord Purple Firmament, whom he had met once before, if it really was Hong Jun who possessed the good fortune jade disc, Ning Cheng started to suspect that the ancient legends of Earth were not groundless. Which one of you wants to refine pills? Dao Su's gaze swept past the Shi Yulan trio. As for Ning Cheng, who was still in a daze, he directly ignored him. Senior, it's this junior. It's just that this junior doesn't want to practice alchemy for the time being. Shi Yulan, on seeing Ning Cheng's mind wander, quickly stood up and spoke up. After saying that, he felt that he needed a reason, so he added, this junior doesn't have that many crystals on him right now. Dao Su chuckled, I don't need crystal stones. I can wave crystal stones for the three of you. I'll refine a cauldron of cleansing filth shadowy pills for you for free on the condition that you do something with me. Whether it was Shi Yulan or Luo Zian, both of them not only had excellent looks, but their qualifications were also very suitable for his cultivation method. Dual cultivation with this kind of human furnace would definitely bring him unimaginable benefits. As for Lanya, although her appearance and qualifications were slightly worse, he could still reluctantly accept her. Shi Yulan's complexion turned cold. She finally understood why no one came down to call out to the three of them, while the others lined up. I heard that every time he killed his opponent, he used a different blade, so it's called saber different. Lanya explained from the side. She couldn't help but sigh in her heart. When she first met Ning Cheng didn't even know about the three realms of celestial scryer. But now, she was still lingering around the three realms of celestial river. Ning Cheng had already surpassed her by many times. Ning Cheng nodded and didn't have any interest in this saber different. Instead, he grabbed the 5-thread cauldron and asked, where did you get this cauldron? It was from a woman. Dao Su could tell that Ning Cheng had a much greater interest in the 5-thread cauldron compared to him. He also knew that the 5-thread cauldron was something extraordinary. Unfortunately, in the face of such a powerhouse, not to mention the 5-thread cauldron, he might not even be able to keep his life. What about that woman? Ning Cheng's voice turned stern. No, she blew herself up. Everything on her body disappeared because of the explosion, only this cauldron remained. Dao Su broke out in cold sweat and trembled in fear. He couldn't even breathe properly. Ning Cheng could tell that Dao Su wasn't lying. He gave out a sigh. Unfortunately, this woman had obtained the 5-thread cauldron. He didn't know if she came from Earth. Ning Cheng no longer had the mood to talk to Dao Su. He raised his hand and slapped Dao Su's body, turning Dao Su into nothingness. Junior Saber Different Greet Senior. Saber Different had already arrived outside Ning Cheng's booth. The Dao Charm aura from Ning Cheng's slap made him tremble. This aura could even kill him with a single breath. Ning Cheng walked out of the booth and looked at Saber Different standing at the door and asked in a cold voice, does Dao Su have anything to do with you? No, it has nothing to do with me. If Senior hadn't killed this person, this Junior wouldn't have known that Eternal Heaven Starry Sky City had such scum. In fact, Dao Su had nothing to do with Saber Different. Saber Different was obsessed with the Dao every day. How could he have the time to care about an ant like Dao Su who deliberately changed his surname to Dao? For Saber Different, Ning Cheng standing in front of him felt like a giant mountain, boundless and boundless. Since such a senior killed Dao Su, even if he didn't know what Dao Su did, he had to say that Dao Su was a failure. My name is Ning Cheng, have you heard of me? Ning Cheng suddenly said. Saber Different looked up in surprise and said, so Senior is the mysterious yellow sect master, this Junior knows about it. Stately River Star is the premier star of the 4 grand starry skies, and this Junior has long admired it. Then he remembered what happened in Stately River Star and quickly bowed. Regarding Stately River Star, this Junior is too weak and couldn't stop it. Please forgive me, Senior. I agree to let you join the Mysterious Yellow Sect and temporarily serve as the Mysterious Yellow Sect's Deputy Sect Master to rebuild Stately River Star. As for becoming a disciple, let's not talk about it for the time being. Ning Cheng didn't know what kind of person Saber Different was, so he didn't want to casually accept a person as a disciple. Sure enough, after reaching Eternal, one would have to reach Dao confirmation, which meant Dao sculpting. Saber Different excitedly took the ring from Ning Cheng and thanked him again. Many thanks, Sect Master. I will definitely make Stately River Star the premier star of the 4 grand starry skies. He had been in seclusion for countless years and had been looking forward to reaching the Tao for countless years. Yet, he managed to obtain it by chance. What was destiny? This was destiny. Although the materials industry was in a slump, but even a skinny camel is still bigger than a horse. If we buy it and transform it a little, we will definitely be able to make a lot of money. The girl sighed, I already have enough money, so why do I still want to earn money? When I first started the company, I didn't think about making a lot of money. The reason why Fairy Shadow could become so big was really because of luck. Yuning, I'll leave this place to you. I want to make a trip to Haidu. The excited expression on the middle-aged woman's face immediately dimmed, and she immediately said, if you don't want to buy it, then don't buy it. Li, if I could be like you, after so many years, my appearance did not change at all, I would not be in the mood to make money. Speaking of this, the middle-aged woman suddenly became excited. Li, can you tell me, how do you take care of yourself? As long as you reveal a little, I promise I won't ask you this question again. When Su Li heard this sentence, her expression once again fell into confusion. After a while, she shook her head and did not speak. In her mind, the person who fell from the sky once again appeared. Although she later knew that that person was not an immortal, but someone from Jiangzhou, she still could not separate him from the immortal. Ning Cheng stood outside the Earth's atmosphere and swept out with his spiritual consciousness. There was no shadow of Yi Mo around the Earth. As for the time law world that Yi Mo spoke of, he also did not see it. Ning Cheng sighed, sure enough, he was a step too late. Originally, Ning Cheng did not intend to return to Earth, but when his spiritual consciousness swept out to the Feral Brook Mountain, he saw that Yi Lei had unexpectedly built a Taoist nunnery in the Feral Brook Mountain, causing his heart to suddenly feel a little sad. Regarding Yi Lei, he really did not have even the slightest feeling. It was just that Yi Lei settling down in the Feral Brook Mountain alone, most likely had a lot to do with him. However, Yi Lei looked very young. How many years had passed on the Earth? Ning Cheng patted his head. He clearly knew that the Earth was wrapped in the time law world, which obviously meant that the time outside was very different. Ning Cheng already had a certain understanding of the time law world in the vast void. It did not mean that when the time law world wrapped around the Earth's time and the planets outside the Earth's time would form a ratio. In fact, there was no law to follow. The same time law world, the time difference formed in different periods was also different. For example, when he left the Earth and came to the Yixing mainland for more than 10 years, only 3 years had passed on the Earth. But if it was another period, 3 days or even 3 hours might have passed. The reason for this situation was because of the time law world. At the beginning of last year, she finally told me that she was going to look for you and Roland. After that, she never came back. Ning Cheng suddenly frowned. With Dai Xian's qualifications, even if he gave her sufficient cultivation resources, she would at best be at the essence-building realm. An essence-building realm cultivator absolutely could not leave Earth. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept out in an overwhelming manner. He could almost see everyone he knew, including Yinihue. However, he did not find Dai Xian. Did Dai Xian really leave Earth? Otherwise, with his spiritual consciousness, he would have already covered countless Earths. By the way, why do you want to sell the company? Ning Cheng temporarily put down the matter of Dai Xian. Li Shiyun quickly spoke, with the insects gone, the insect materials are getting more and more difficult to make. Elder brother Yin, because of his obsession with martial arts, has no way to stay in the company. I don't think it's too late to sell the company. If we wait any longer, I estimate that the company will go bankrupt. Li Shiyun knew that Ning Cheng would not take over the company, so she simply did not say anything about it. Ning Qing nodded. Shiyun, don't sell the company. You can write off the Qing Rule and Company, and then sell off everything in the company. Ah. Li Shiyun suddenly froze on hearing these words, but quickly reacted and quickly spoke up. Okay, how should I give you the money? Ning Qing shook his head. Shiyun, this money is all yours, I have no use for it. But. Li Shiyun wanted to say something, but Ning Qing stopped her. No buts, I'm leaving. Thank you for taking care of Rulan in the past. Elder brother Xiaocheng, will I never be able to see you and Rulan again? After Ning Cheng's words came out, Li Shiyun suddenly had a premonition that this separation from Ning Cheng would be forever. Ning Cheng initially wanted to give a few medicinal pills to Li Shiyun, but after thinking about it, he decided against it. Li Shiyun was an ordinary person. If he gave Li Shiyun medicinal pills, it would most likely harm her. Unfortunately, Li Shiyun did not have a spiritual root. Although Ning Cheng believed that there was a way for people without spiritual roots to cultivate in the mysterious yellow heavens beyond. However, he did not say it out loud. Sometimes, the ruthless and cruel world of cultivation was not necessarily better than living a peaceful and contented life. Maybe, take care of yourself. Saying that, Ning Cheng slowly walked out. Elder brother Xiaocheng, you also have to take care. Li Shiyun murmured from behind. She suddenly felt a little uncomfortable in her heart. Ning Cheng's sideburns had already turned a little gray. It looked like he had lived a very hard life these years. She naturally did not know that the gray on Ning Cheng's sideburns was caused by burning his essence blood and longevity during the battle with Xian Mao. He had suffered a serious injury, and although a drop of true essence of the universe allowed him to recover from his injuries and restore his cultivation, it did not completely restore his consumed longevity. Chapter 1371. You're the decorator. Li Yuning had just walked out of the fairy shadow building when she saw Ning Qing standing in front of the fairy shadow building. Ning Qing smiled and nodded. Yes, I'm the decorator. When his spiritual consciousness swept towards Su Li leaving the fairy shadow building, Ning Qing guessed that the fairy shadow building was Su Li's company. For Su Li to name the company, Fairy Shadow Building, it also made sense. After all, Su Li knew that he had fallen from the sky, and certainly knew what he had done. As for Li Yuning, she most likely would not inquire about his origin and whereabouts. Are you looking for Li? Li Yuning's tone turned cold. She really couldn't figure out why Su Li would be so polite to a decorator. Now that so many years had passed, the other party had come looking for her again. She had said that she could not give these decorators any color. If she gave them a bit of color, they would open up a dye shop. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept towards Su Li and found that she had just left, but he did not want to look for Su Li. Shaking his head, he spoke, No, I was just passing by. Saying that, Ning Cheng turned around and instantly left, leaving behind a bewildered Li Yuning. Su Li sat in a coffee shop, holding a cup of coffee, just like before in the company, once again falling into confusion. She did not know where to go from here. She had reached the peak of her career. However, she always felt that it was not what she needed. She had secretly spent countless efforts to find Ning Cheng's whereabouts, but had never found any trace of news. Ning Cheng's origin and past was also a secret within the Federation. Except for people like her who came from a big family, or people who had a relationship with Ning Cheng, only a few ordinary people knew about Ning Cheng's actions. Moreover, she had seen Ning Cheng fall from the sky with her own eyes. Even if it was just an illusion, Ning Cheng had given her a pill, which allowed her to maintain her appearance for so many years, without even suffering from minor illnesses. This was more convincing than anything else. At this time, her cell phone suddenly rang. Su Li glanced at the caller ID and sighed. Li Yuning was not her best friend, but Li Yuning took the initiative to find her after the divorce, so she simply let Li Yuning work in the company. Li Yuning's schemes were too heavy, and she valued profit too much, which made her somewhat disgusted. In the company, she was clear about some of the things that Li Yuning had secretly done, but she was too lazy to care about them. Money was really nothing to her. No matter what, Li Yuning was still helping her, so she still picked up the phone. Li Yuning's prophetic tone came through the phone. Li Yi, I'm not wrong, right? Do you still remember the decorator we met when we were studying in Haidu? The renovation worker came to look for you again. He looked a little old and seemed to be living a hard life. I guess he came to ask for your help. Today, he was embarrassed by what I said and left. He will definitely come again next time. Pada. Su Li's phone suddenly fell on the table, knocking over the coffee on the table, but she did not even notice it. In just less than 2 seconds, Su Li excitedly grabbed the mobile phone with the coffee juice on it. Completely not caring about the coffee on her face, she directly put the phone to her ear and eagerly asked, Yuning, where is Ning Qing? You must stop him for me. I'll go back to the company immediately. At the entrance of the fairy shadow group, Li Yuning stared blankly at the phone that had been hung up. She really could not understand why Su Li cared so much about the renovation worker. Then she remembered that the renovation worker had already left. She hurriedly chased after him, but could no longer see his shadow. Feral Brook Mountain, Ning Cheng had come here once when he was looking for the wood origin bead. If he had not seen Yi Lei here, perhaps he would never have set foot in the Feral Brook Mountain again. Yi Lei, are you okay? Ning Cheng walked out of the Dao nunnery, but did not sweep out with his spiritual consciousness. Instead, he stood at the door and called out. However, for a long time, he did not hear Yi Lei's answer, causing him to feel puzzled in his heart. Did Yi Lei go out? As his spiritual consciousness swept in, Ning Cheng immediately saw Yi Lei lying unconscious on the bed with a trace of blood on the corner of her mouth. Feeling some messy true essence aura rampaging through her meridians, Ning Cheng immediately came to a realization. Yi Lei cultivated the cultivation method that he had given her, and because of it, she had gone overboard. Seeing that Yi Lei's bed was made of bluestone, Ning Cheng understood that this was not the first time Yi Lei had encountered such a thing. Previously, he had only casually swept out with his spiritual consciousness, coupled with the fact that Yi Lei was a woman, it was not easy for him to observe carefully. As such, he did not notice it. Ning Cheng secretly shook his head and sighed. He walked towards Yi Lei, raised his hand and patted Yi Lei's body a dozen times, then took out a medicinal pill and put it into Yi Lei's mouth. Yi Lei's situation, it was estimated that no one on earth could save her. However, for him, it was not even the slightest bit difficult. He took this opportunity to not only help Yi Lei re-expand her meridians, but also helped Yi Lei open up some of the blocked meridians. In other words, when Yi Lei woke up, her strength would be nearly 3 or 4 times stronger than her current strength. In just a minute, Yi Lei's breathing gradually stabilized, and her face also turned a little rosier. Ning Cheng's face also turned a little rosier, as he hesitated for a moment, before he raised his hand and placed it between Yi Lei's eyebrows a few times. He had engraved some of his martial Dao cultivation experiences into Yi Lei's consciousness. Since Yi Lei wanted to cultivate martial Dao so hard, he might as well help her. Yi Lei did not have a master, and could only rely on herself to explore. If he did not let her understand a little more about the martial Dao cultivation methods, then perhaps she would fall into this kind of situation again next time. At the same time as Ning Cheng withdrew his hand, Yi Lei opened her eyes. She then closed her eyes again, and muttered to herself, "Why am I dreaming? How come a day and a night have passed so quickly?" She soon felt that something was wrong. Opening her eyes again, she then sat up as fast as she could. "Big brother Ning, did you come back?" Ning Cheng spoke up apologetically, "I came back. If I had not left behind a cultivation method for you to cultivate, you would not have suffered such a heavy injury. If it were not because of a special situation, I'm afraid that you would not have survived." Yi Lei looked at Ning Cheng in a daze. After a while, she shook her head and spoke, "No, if it were not for the cultivation method that you left behind, perhaps I would have already lost the will to live. Only by cultivating every day, would I have a kind of pursuit. Ning Cheng's heart moved, and he immediately took out a dilapidated ancient book and handed it to Yi Lei. Yi Lei, this is a martial Tao cultivation method that I obtained by chance. I took a look at it, and although it is not suitable for me to cultivate, it is of an extremely high level. Ning Cheng's words did not contain the slightest bit of boasting. He had found this dilapidated martial Tao cultivation method from the Heaven and Earth deities' tomb mound. The Heaven and Earth deities' tomb mound was the battlefield of the First Good Fortune War. Therefore, it would have been strange if something from the Heaven and Earth deities' tomb mound was inferior. Because of Ning Cheng's arrival, coupled with Ning Cheng removing all of Yi Lei's injuries, her spirit and chi had improved by a lot. She did not refuse the cultivation method. Big Brother Ning, is your planet far from Earth? Ning Cheng vaguely understood Yi Lei's thoughts. He hesitated for a moment before speaking. It's very far. With our Earth's technology, I'm afraid it would take many centuries before we would have the opportunity to come into contact with that kind of planet. Yi Lei pursed her lips and then asked firmly, Big Brother Ning, if I cultivate this cultivation method, can I also leave Earth in the future? Ning Cheng spoke up without hesitation, of course you can. This cultivation method is one of the top martial Tao cultivation methods in the vast universe. If I succeed in cultivating it, not to mention leaving Earth, my future achievements might even surpass my current achievements. As for whether her future achievements would surpass his current achievements, Ning Cheng did not know. However, Ning Cheng knew that since she could participate in the first great war of good fortune, how could she be a weakling? Yi Lei carefully put away the cultivation method and spoke up firmly, Big Brother Ning, I want to cultivate this cultivation method. In the future, I can also strive to go to the vast starry sky and find my own dream. Ning Cheng sighed in his heart. It was not that he did not want to take Yi Lei with him. It was just that the competition in the vast starry sky was too fierce. Even if he took away Yi Lei and helped Yi Lei develop a spiritual root, he could not take Yi Lei with him. He also couldn't bring Yi Lei with him. With Yi Lei's cultivation base, the chances of her dying were too high. Big Brother Ning, after you helped me heal my injuries, I feel like my mind has become a lot clearer. I believe I can do it. Yi Lei spoke with a firm tone. Ning Cheng sighed in his heart, Yi Lei, I'll take you with me. Yi Lei shook her head, no, I want to rely on my own strength to go to the starry sky. If my qualifications are really limited, even if you take me with you, I would only be a burden. Ning Cheng also knew that Yi Lei spoke the truth. He took out a ring and handed it to Yi Lei, this is for you. I thought that I would never come back, or that we would never meet again after coming back. I didn't expect that not only would I come back, but we would also meet again so soon. This ring contains cultivation resources, which you can't open right now. Once you open the ring, you will understand why I didn't help you open the ring. After saying that, Ning Cheng paused for a moment before taking the initiative to speak up, Yi Lei, cultivating the martial Tao is even more difficult. If it's just a little bit worse, then don't work so hard. Sometimes, living a plain life is also a kind of happiness. Yi Lei gave an "n" sound, I know. In fact, I've always been advancing step by step in my own cultivation, and I have never experienced a situation of cultivation deviation. It was only to find Dai Xian that I sped up my cultivation, but the result. At this point, Yi Lei remembered something important and quickly said, Big Brother Ning, let's hurry up and save Dai Xian. Ning Cheng felt surprised and asked, did you say that Dai Xian is still on Earth? Yi Lei nodded and spoke with affirmation, yes, Dai Xian came to the Wild Broach Mountain and settled down with me to cultivate. I also cultivated her cultivation method, but it didn't help me at all. Later, I realized that she didn't have any spiritual roots. Where did Dai Xian go? Ning Cheng asked eagerly. If Dai Xian was on Earth, then there was no reason why he couldn't find her. For him, his Tao Charm giant hand could crush the earth. If Dai Xian was on Earth, how could he not know? Unless Dai Xian fell. Chapter 1372. A year ago, she went to the Sky Sea Desert, and there was no news of her after that. Previously, she told me that the Sky Sea Desert was definitely related to the cultivation civilization, so she wanted to check it out. At that time, I was trying to break through a bottleneck, so I didn't go with her. After we lost contact with her, I also went to the Sky Sea Desert, but I knew that I was too weak the moment I went there. Later, I desperately cultivated, wanting to improve my strength. Yilei's tone was filled with self-blame. Obviously, she felt that Dai Xian's disappearance had something to do with her not being there with her. Ning Qing frowned and asked, Sky Sea Desert? What is this place? After asking this question, Ning Qing finally understood what the Sky Sea Desert was. When he swept out with his spiritual consciousness, he found several large deserts. Because he did not care about it, he did not notice that one of the deserts did not originally exist on Earth. Now that Yilei mentioned the Sky Sea Desert, he immediately understood. Yes, this desert didn't exist before. It was centered on a small town not far from the insect swarm, and then it spread outwards. Later, it spread all the way to the edge of Huaxia's Jing city, including the 100 Bay Point, which turned into a desert. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness once again swept out and found that the original 100 Bay Point had slowly turned into desertification. The place where he had fought with the bug swarm had now turned into a desert. This desert had almost become the largest desert on Earth. From afar, it looked like a sea of sand. No wonder it was called the Sky Sea. Yilei continued to explain, the center of the spread of the Heavenly Sea Desert is called Wuxia Town. This was originally a small town on the border of Russia. It was considered quite prosperous, but now it has become the reason for the formation of the Heavenly Sea Desert. Many people went in to investigate, but they all disappeared. I suspect that Dai Xian also went to this town. What do you mean? Ning Qing asked in doubt. Because the town disappears at night and reappears during the day. It was very strange. Many scientists who went in to investigate, as long as they didn't come out on the first day, they would disappear without a trace the next day, just like the night before. Now, Wuxia Town is also known as Lost Town. Yilei's tone carried a hint of lingering fear. Clearly, she had been to this town before. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness fell onto a small town in the middle of the Sky Sea Desert. Far away from the town, there were many temporary tents. Some people were going in and out. They seemed to be scientists or explorers. What surprised Ning Cheng was that even with his powerful spiritual sense, he could still vaguely see the inside of the town. Ning Cheng immediately turned to Yilei and spoke, I'll go and have a look, you should focus on your cultivation. The woman nodded, I've been here for almost half a year. I must figure out what's going on with Lost Town. But, in the past few years, how many people have gone in at night and never come out? The young man's tone became even more anxious. The woman smiled and spoke, the truth always needs someone to sacrifice, doesn't it? Then I'll go in with you. The young man said helplessly. To his surprise, after he said those words, elder sister Ye did not try to persuade him. This made him feel a little discouraged. Elder sister Ye, you should at least try to persuade me. The woman spoke again, you are not a child. Since you have decided, then you should have your own thoughts. Why should I try to persuade you? Ning Cheng shook his head and did not speak much. He walked in first. The woman quickly quickened her pace and came to Ning Cheng's side and said, my name is Zhenya. I used to be a reporter. Later, I stayed in the Sky Sea Desert. I feel that you are a very capable person. But why didn't you bring anything to defend yourself, nor did you bring anything? Ah! Zhenya spoke until here. She screamed and retreated behind Ning Cheng. A blond man abruptly came out from behind a mottled wall at the entrance of the town. He looked at the Ning Cheng trio and called out, hello. Ning Cheng had already seen this guy, but did not care about it. The young man on the side explained, "This person is an adventure reporter from the United States. His name is Kong Li. Once, he had just come out of Lost Town, and the Lost Town gradually disappeared. Just a little bit more. By the way, my name is Lu Pin. I am a professional adventurer." Ning Cheng nodded, looked at Zhengye and asked, "How did you feel that I have the ability just because I didn't bring anything with me?" Zhengye smiled again, and spoke with some embarrassment, "Actually, I had long wanted to come in at night to have a look. It was just that I was a little afraid of being alone. Now that you came in, I just wanted to embolden myself. By the way, how should I address you?" The implication was that even if the person who came in was not Ning Cheng, she would still have followed him in. "Oh, my God, are you going to enter Ruoka town now?" The blond man spoke out in surprise. His Chinese was also very fluent. "My name is Ning Cheng." While speaking, Ning Cheng had already walked onto the main street of the town. The shops and houses on both sides of the street were modeled. Although this town had been swallowed by the desert for only a few years, but the vicissitudes of history felt as if hundreds of years had passed. "I will also go in with you." Kong Li, who was still amazed a moment ago, suddenly turned around and caught up with the Ning Cheng trio. At the end of the town, there was a mottled and dilapidated church. Even if Ning Cheng stood outside the church, he could still feel a burst of yin qi. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept in, and found that there were countless remnant souls wandering inside the church. However, under Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness, these remnant souls trembled and hid in a corner of the church. "You can't go inside. This church is the Lost Town's ghost hall. Whether it is day or night, as long as you enter, you will encounter problems. Even if one or two survive, they would turn into idiots." Seeing Ning Cheng wanting to enter the church, Lu Pin quickly spoke up. Even Zhengye, who had always wanted to come in, spoke up from the side, "Ning Cheng, what Lu Pin said is right, this church is indeed a bit strange. After going in, I heard that there were ghostly howls coming from inside. Why don't we go to other places first and check this place out last?" Ning Cheng did not speak. He had already checked the town with his spiritual consciousness, and found that there were no problems in other places. The problem lay in this church. Previously, his spiritual consciousness could not penetrate every corner of the town, and it was also because of this church. At the top of the church, there was a small world of laws floating, completely invisible to the naked eye. To be honest, Ning Cheng had never heard of such a small world of laws with such a high level. Ning Cheng felt sure that the level of this world of laws was not low. Even with his spiritual consciousness, he could not fully penetrate every corner of it in a hurry. However, at this time, Ning Cheng, standing in front of this small world of laws, had already seen it clearly. This was a world of the laws of space. With the level of this world of laws, it definitely did not belong to Earth. The reason why the Sky-Sea Desert could form was because of this world of laws. This world of laws had periodic fluctuations. Every night, the space of the world of laws would connect the space of this small town with the void outside of Earth. Once one entered this town at night, it was equivalent to entering the void through the transmission array. It would be fine if one had a cultivation, but almost everyone on Earth was an ordinary person. It would be a strange thing for anyone to survive after entering the void. As for the souls in the church, some were from Earth, while some came from the void. This small world of the laws of space was very valuable. Ning Cheng knew that as long as he took away this world of laws, the Sky-Sea Desert would not spread, and the town would not disappear. But what worried Ning Cheng was that Dai Xian must have entered this world of the laws of space and ended up in the void. Another thing that worried him was that he did not know if any powerful souls had entered Earth through this place. Chapter 1373. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness quickly swept out. This time, his spiritual consciousness penetrated almost every corner of the Earth. Apart from a few guys who seemed to be cultivating, Ning Cheng did not find any powerful souls. After a while, Ning Cheng retracted his spiritual consciousness. Ning Cheng was not sure if there were any souls that he did not find. If there really was a fish from the void that he could not find, then he could only say that it was just luck. "Hey, Ning Cheng, are you okay?" Zhenya saw Ning Cheng not speaking and quickly asked. Ning Cheng had just finished searching the earth. He turned to the Zhenya trio and smiled, "I'll go in and have a look. You three wait for me here." After saying that, Ning Cheng stepped into the church in a few steps. "Oh, I'll also go in and have a look." Seeing Ning Cheng enter the church, Kong Li also followed behind Ning Cheng and quickly entered the church. Zhenya originally wanted to find someone to come in. Since Ning Cheng and Kong Li walked in front of her, how could she not go in? However, when she and Kong Li reached the entrance of the church, they were blocked by an invisible force and could not take even half a step inside. "It's over, it's dark, this town is starting to turn illusory." Lu Pin took a few steps back and spoke with a panicked expression. His body was still there, but he felt as if he was about to disappear. Kong Li's expression also changed drastically. He anxiously called out, "Hurry up and follow me. I've encountered this kind of situation once. As long as we retreat quickly, we'll be fine." As soon as Ning Cheng entered the church, the Yin soul aura immediately dissipated, and some even fled the church in panic. For these Yin souls, this was completely instinctive. Ning Cheng's powerful aura made these Yin souls desperate. Even a single glance could make them disappear without a trace. Ning Cheng naturally did not care about these low-level Yin souls. He took a step and arrived at the top of the church. The top of the church was filled with the aura of the laws of space, and an invisible world of the laws of space was suspended above the church. As soon as Ning Cheng approached this world of the laws of space, a feeling of illusory space came over him. Ning Cheng knew that this was the power of void teleportation. Because he was next to this world of laws, he could feel the power of void teleportation. If he was not next to this world of laws, then once the aura of this world of the laws of space spread throughout the town, anyone could be teleported away by this space array gate. Previously, the town could not be seen because of this space law world, which caused the space law of the town to change. In fact, the town was still there. After the spatial laws changed, anything with life aura would be brought into the void by the spatial laws. Ning Cheng gave out a sigh. He felt sure that Dai Xian had been swept away by this kind of space. As the power of laws within the spatial teleportation grew stronger and stronger, Ning Cheng didn't rush to take away this spatial law world. He walked to the edge of the teleportation law power and kept putting up some restrictions and array flags. Catcha, a crack appeared in the void in front of Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng knew that this crack could not be seen by others, but it was a crack in the void that led outside of Earth. After Ning Cheng arranged the last array flag, he stepped into the void within the law world. Outside the church, Lu Pin forcefully pulled Zhenya away from the town, while Kong Li had already run more than 10 meters away. "Hey, the town seems to have lit up again." Zhenya's words interrupted Lu Pin's action and made Kong Li stop running. The town, which had gradually become blurry in their perception, once again became clear. The whole town seemed to be completely different from before. "Ah, I wonder what happened to that Ning Cheng." Zhenya suddenly remembered that Ning Cheng had entered the church first and quickly rushed inside again. She rushed to the door of the church and stopped again. "This time, there doesn't seem to be that invisible thing blocking us. He's gone." Lu Pin also carefully came to the door of the church. The church was actually not that big, and standing at the door with a searchlight, one could clearly see the things inside the church. "Your companion is indeed missing." Kong Li also turned his head and nodded in agreement from behind. The three of them turned silent. Although the three of them were safe, Ning Cheng, who helped them explore the way, had disappeared. What made Kong Li and Zhengye even more puzzled was that even after they went out in the middle of the night, they did not find any problems. The town neither disappeared, nor did it hide. Of course, they did not find anything. The news that the lost town was no longer lost soon spread out, and people from all over the world came to watch. The last three to become famous were Kong Li, Zhengye, and Lu Pin. The story of Ning Qing entering the lost town, and then going missing after entering the church, was written by the three of them. The moment the power of the void teleportation disappeared, Ning Qing raised his hand and pulled the law of space suspended above Ruoka town. Ning Qing directly pulled the law of space world from the void, sealed it, and threw it into the mysterious yellow bead. Ning Qing's spiritual consciousness swept around and found that this was a completely unfamiliar void. What a pity! Ning Qing sighed in his heart. His strength was still too low. If he had enough strength, he would not have taken away the law of space world through the teleportation. He would have first used this law of space world to teleport here, and after observing it, he would then use this law of space world to teleport back. With his Tao perfection cultivation, there was no way to use this uncorrected law of space world to teleport back. In fact, he still had one more thing to do when he returned to Earth. But because he was worried about Dai Xian, he followed this law of space world to this void. The other thing he wanted to do when he returned to Earth was to search for the legend of the East Emperor Bell. On Earth, the East Emperor Bell had always been regarded as the Bell of Chaos. There was a legend of the Eastern Emperor Bell on Earth, which meant that this thing was very likely to have come from Earth. It was also a real existence. The Eastern Emperor Bell was ranked first among the 10 legendary artifacts on Earth. Of course, this divine artifact should be a divine artifact that surpassed the divine artifact refined by a weapon-refining Grand Master. In the Legends of Earth, the top 10 divine artifacts were the Bell of the East Emperor, the Shenyuan Sword, the Pangu Axe, the Haotian Pagoda, the Kongtong Seal, the Demon Refining Gourd, the Shenong Cauldron, the Fushi Zither, the Nuwa Stone, and the Kunlun Mirror. It was rumored that the Eastern Emperor Bell was the gate to the heavenly realm, and it was even more powerful than the Pangu Axe that split the heavens and earth. Now that he had the whereabouts of the Chaos Bell, he naturally wanted to know if the East Emperor Bell and the Chaos Bell were the same. At the same time, he also wanted to know if the ancient legends on Earth were true. After all, this was just a casual investigation. Faced with Dai Xian's whereabouts, Ning Qing naturally had to make a choice. Fortunately, he also obtained a 5-headed cauldron. Heavenly Emperor Shenong had 3 cauldrons. The first cauldron, the Shenong Cauldron, was ranked among the 10 legendary artifacts on Earth. Although his 5-headed cauldron was not as good as the Shenong Cauldron, it was still the second cauldron of Heavenly Emperor Shenong. Naturally, it would not be too bad. Ning Qing's spiritual consciousness swept out and soon found that this void was relatively stable. Apart from the occasional meteorite passing by, most of the time, it seemed very calm. Since it was related to Dai Xian's life, Ning Qing did not dare to act casually. Dai Xian was also a cultivator. Since the space in this place was stable, maybe Dai Xian could survive. Ning Qing's spiritual consciousness searched almost every inch of this space. Just when Ning Qing thought that there were no void cracks or void maelstrom in this place, the spiritual consciousness he released suddenly collapsed, followed by a vast aura sweeping away his spiritual consciousness. A powerful void vortex sucked in, forcing Ning Qing to retreat in a hurry. In just a few breaths, the force that made his spiritual consciousness collapse into the void vortex disappeared without a trace. The surroundings regained its calm once again, making people wonder if what happened just now was real. From the time the traceless spear pattern gradually formed cracks in the void, to the point where the spear pattern's cracks grew more and more layered, to the point where the cracks formed a kind of void collapse, Ning Qing had no idea how much time had passed. His entire person was immersed in this endless divine ability deduction. In the collapsed void where he was, there was not a single person's shadow. Even he himself had completely forgotten about anything other than the derivation ability. Outside the cave under the Grand Essence Demon Veins Immortal Loop Island, Ao Wu stood respectfully in front of a giant suspended book. A figure slowly appeared on the giant book. Compared to before, this figure was even more solid. Replying to Tao Lord, after Ning Qing left, he never appeared again. I asked Han Qianwei about it. Nearly 10,000 years ago, Ning Qing came back once. It was just that he came back in a hurry and then left again. After that, there was no more news. Because Grand Essence Mountain has several Dao integration experts, Han Qianwei couldn't enter Grand Essence Mountain to ask. Dao Lord Ao Wu replied carefully. The figure on the giant book exuded a powerful aura. After a while, it said, "Go to the Grand Essence Dao Court first and take away the Grand Essence Dao Court. If Ning Qing hides somewhere in seclusion, he will definitely come out. If Ning Qing doesn't come out, then I will forcibly merge with the Grand Essence Dao Court again. I can't wait any longer. If I wait any longer, someone might come looking for me." The figure on the giant book was obviously Earth Dao Lord Xinyun, who had once merged with the Grand Essence Dao Court. If Ning Qing comes out, if he really comes out, then I will take away the things he prepared, repair the Grand Essence realm, and then merge the realms. I couldn't do it back then, but now I can barely do it. I always have a hunch that the second gate of good fortune is about to open. If I don't speed up, I'm afraid I won't have a chance. The great Dao Lord interrupted Dao Lord Ao Wu's words with an unquestionable tone. "I'm afraid I'm not Chu Manha's opponent," Dao Lord Ao Wu said with some worry. "Don't worry, just do it. That Han Qian hasn't helped you yet. If the other party is too strong, I will take action," the great Dao Lord said without hesitation. Ao Wu nodded. This disciple will go now. She knew that the great Dao Lord could take action. In the Grand Essence realm, no one could pose a threat to the great Dao Lord. The Grand Essence realm's Grand Essence Mountain had long since changed its name to the Mysterious Yellow Sect. The Mysterious Yellow Sect's sect master was Ning Qing. Since the establishment of the Mysterious Yellow Sect in the Grand Essence Mountain, none of the new disciples of the Mysterious Yellow Sect had seen Sect Master Ning. The main peak of the Grand Essence Mountain had also been changed to the Mysterious Yellow Peak, where the sect's main hall was located. At this time, the sect's main hall was filled with people. All the people who could sit in the sect's main hall were the core members of the Mysterious Yellow Sect or people close to Ning Qing. However, the sect master's seat was empty. Sitting next to the sect master's seat was a stunning woman, but she had a hint of worry in her eyes. Big Sister Luofei, Big Brother Ning should be fine. He mentioned that he had something to do, and it would take a long time. A purple-robed woman spoke. The big sister Luofei she mentioned was Ji Luofei, who sat next to the sect master's seat. This purple-robed woman was Luo Zian. When Ning Qing returned to Earth, he passed through the 4 grand starry skies and left many cultivation resources for Luo Zian. At this time, Luo Zian had already reached the full circle eternal realm and was only one step away from Dao sculpting. Ji Luofei was at the late-stage Dao birth realm and only one step away from Dao transformation. After listening to Luo Zian's words, she sighed and didn't speak. She knew Ning Qing. Even if Ning Qing was outside, he would come back from time to time. But now, nearly 10,000 years had passed, and there was no news from Ning Qing. She couldn't help but feel anxious. Big Sister Luofei, I want to go to Earth. Ning Ruolin, who sat next to Ji Luofei, spoke up. Her cultivation was slightly lower than Ji Luofei's, at Dao sculpting realm. Ji Luofei shook her head, our cultivations are still too weak. With our current strength, it would be difficult for us to go to Earth. I'm sure that he wouldn't stay on Earth for so many years. Ruolin, you don't have to worry. I have a hunch that your brother is fine. He might be trapped somewhere. Luofei, Court Pillar Li Feng is here. Lu Fonglin, who had completely restored her original appearance, walked up to Ji Luofei and whispered. Lu Fonglin cultivated in seclusion in Grand Su Mountain. Not only did she recover her cultivation, but she also reached the second step of the primordial Tao realm. Ji Luofei heard Lu Fonglin's words and quickly stood up. Let's go welcome Court Pillar Li. Ji Luofei knew about Li Feng's help to Ning Cheng. Moreover, she also knew that Ning Cheng respected Li Feng a lot. Now that Li Feng personally came to Grand Essence Mountain, how could she not greet him? Li Feng waited in front of Grand Essence Mountain's defensive array. Seeing Ji Luofei come over, he quickly stepped forward and said, Fairy Ji, is there any news from Tao Lord Ning? Senior Li, did something happen? Ji Luofei asked carefully. She knew that Li Feng rarely came to Grand Essence Mountain unless there was something special. But now that Li Feng came over, something must have happened to the Grand Essence Tao Court. Li Feng said with worry, nothing much happened yet. But Tao Lord Proud Dance suddenly came to the Tao Court today. She told me that the Grand Essence Demon Vane wants to take over the Grand Essence Tao Court. Ji Luofei asked in doubt, didn't we easily defeat the Grand Essence Demon Vane? Aren't they afraid of extinction? Li Feng also sighed and said, that's what I said. But before I could say anything about mobilizing the Tao Court's army, a giant hand condensed from Void Tao Charm suppressed me. At that time, I had a feeling that the giant hand condensed from Void Tao Charm could easily crush me into powder. Ji Luofei's expression changed. She knew Li Feng's strength too well. Although he hadn't stepped into Tao unification, his strength was the closest to Tao unification. Such a powerhouse couldn't stop a Tao Charm handprint condensed from the void. Didn't this mean that the powerhouse who condensed this void handprint had already surpassed Tao unification? Is this person a third-step powerhouse? But Grand Essence's laws aren't complete. How could a third-step powerhouse appear? Ji Luofei quickly calmed down. Li Feng said with certainty, this person must be a third-step powerhouse. Although I don't know how strong a third-step powerhouse is, this person's strength shouldn't be just at the early stage of creation realm. Ji Luofei's heart felt even heavier. At this time, she already knew that the creation realm was a sign of stepping into the third step. If a third-step powerhouse came here, even if the Tao Court gathered all its forces, they wouldn't be able to deal with it. Senior Li, let's go inside and talk. Ji Luofei understood that this matter couldn't be resolved with just a few words. Li Feng was just about to speak when she heard a crisp female voice. No need. We'll also use the Grand Essence Mountain. The Grand Essence Demon Vane will rebuild the Tao Court. But it won't be the Heaven Essence Sacred City, but the Grand Essence Mountain. As the voice fell, a beautiful young woman landed in front of Ji Luofei. Before this, even Li Feng hadn't noticed it. Ji Luofei's expression turned cold. This woman actually wanted to occupy her home. Are you that Tao Lord Proud Dance? Ji Luofei asked with a calm tone. The beautiful young woman showed a slight smile, yes, I'm Proud Dance. But you're not bad. You found a good man and even had the opportunity to talk to me directly. No one can make me leave the mysterious yellow sect except for my husband. You don't have the qualifications. Ji Luofei's tone wasn't heavy, but it carried an unquestionable affirmation. Then let's see if I have the qualifications. As Tao Lord Proud Dance spoke, the Tao Charm handprint condensed from the Tao Charm reached towards the mysterious yellow sect protecting Grand Array. You indeed don't have the qualifications. Chu Manha's voice came over. At the same time, a huge fist condensed from the depths of the mysterious yellow sect and blasted towards Tao Lord Proud Dance. Chapter 1375. The Tao runes exploded, and the powerful aura forced Li Feng to retreat. Ji Luofei and the others, who had lower cultivation, had to retreat. Several ravines appeared in front of the sect protecting array, which caused the mysterious yellow sect protecting Grand Array to shake violently. Tao Lord Proud Dance and Chu Manha stood on both sides of the ravines, both with solemn expressions. Chu Manha felt a little worried. Apart from her, the old man and Ao Ken were also Tao integration experts. Now that neither of them were present, when she had exchanged blows with Tao Lord Proud Dance just now, she could sense that Tao Lord Proud Dance was much more powerful than before. If the two of them fought, the final result would be unpredictable. Moreover, with Chu Manha's wisdom, how could she not guess that Tao Lord Proud Dance dared to come here and even dared to say that she would take over the Grand Essence Tao Court? Most people knew about the strength of the Grand Essence Tao Court, but she didn't know about their confidence. Chu Manha, I'll give you 1 day to leave Grand Essence Mountain. Otherwise, don't blame my Grand Essence Demon Meridian for becoming stronger, Tao Lord Proud Dance said coldly. Chu Manha's face sank, but before she could speak, she heard a voice from the void. No need for 1 day. Get out of Grand Essence Mountain and the Grand Essence Realm now. Otherwise, die. Following this sentence, a powerful Tao rune blasted down. With just one sentence, the majestic aura suppressed Chu Manha. Chu Manha's expression changed. She wasn't an ignorant Tao integration sacred emperor. Although the other party hadn't made a move, she already knew that the other party's strength was no less than Great Emperor Perpetual Moon's. Great Emperor Perpetual Moon was a true third-step expert, and the other party's strength was no less than Great Emperor Perpetual Moon's. That meant that he could easily crush her. Senior, Grand Essence Mountain has an owner. Everyone knows that it belongs to the mysterious Yellow Sect. If you don't get out, then die. An angry roar interrupted Chu Manha's words. Then, a huge handprint condensed from Tao runes descended out of thin air and crushed towards Chu Manha. Chu Manha stared blankly at the huge Tao rune handprint, her heart filled with sorrow. She was at the Tao integration realm, yet she was bound by the space law and couldn't escape. Shen Yun, long time no see. Your temper is getting worse. A sarcastic voice emerged. At the same time, a handprint with the same Tao charm emerged from the depths of the Grand Su Mountains. It easily crushed the huge handprint that was rushing towards Chu Manha into nothingness. Chu Manha looked at the Tao charm giant handprint that had yet to dissipate. Only then did she remember that there was such a person in the Grand Su Mountain. When Ning Cheng returned to the Grand Essence Mountain for the last time, he brought a person with him and said that if there was anything he couldn't solve, he could come to him for help. However, he did not expect that the person who stayed in Grand Su Mountain to cultivate would be so powerful. This kind of strength was definitely a third-step expert. Kong Zai. The voice in the void was shocked beyond belief. Kong Zai didn't show himself. Instead, he said lazily, "That's right, it's me, Kong Zai. I knew that you were hiding in Taisu, but I didn't tell Ning Cheng. However, you are not generous enough to take the initiative to attack Ning City's Taisu Mountain and Taisu Tao Court. What disappoints me is that your current strength is even inferior to mine, only slightly stronger than that Chu Chini." Kong Zai, what do you mean? The Grand Essence Realm is mine. Can't I take back the realm that belongs to me? Besides, the Grand Essence Mountain and the Taisu Tao Court belong to the Grand Essence Realm. When did they become Ning Cheng's private property? Shen Yun's tone turned a little sour. Kong Zai's voice in the void laughed. Shen Yun, you can only deceive others with your words, but don't say it in front of me, Kong Zai. You and I both know who the 5 great realms belong to. In ancient times, the 5 great realms existed in the vast universe and had nothing to do with you and me. I can only say that you and I once used the 5 great realms to merge our realms. Shen Yun's cold snort came from the void. Kong Zai, who doesn't know how to say beautiful words? Do you think that the great ultimate realm is no longer yours? Don't you even want to go back and merge with the great ultimate realm? Kong Zai's laughter became even more hearty. Shen Yun, you're right. My strength has long been restored to the extent that I can merge realms. Even if the great ultimate realm is not perfect, I can slowly improve it after merging the realms. However, I never went to the great ultimate realm again because I no longer think that the great ultimate realm belongs to me, Kong Zai. There are many living beings in a realm, so this realm should belong to all of them. Unless, this domain originally belonged to you, and these living beings were also brought in by you. Ha ha. Shen Yun seemed to have heard the funniest thing in the world. Kong Zai, don't deceive yourself anymore. I don't believe that you won't go back to the great ultimate realm. Kong Zai's tone calmed down as he said word by word, you can see whether I will merge with the great ultimate realm again. Shen Yun, on account of our many years of friendship, I'll give you another piece of advice. Give up merging with the great simplicity realm so that you can go further. Otherwise, when the second creation war comes, you will still be a nobody. That's if Ning Qing doesn't come back. Shen Yun did not take Kong Zai's words seriously at all. Merging with a top-notch realm like the Great Simplicity realm was the only way to become a top-notch expert. Unless one had a treasure of fortune and merged with it in the same realm. However, Shen Yun also knew that this would be very difficult. Kong Zai, regardless of whether you want the Great Ultimate Realm or not, the Great Simplicity realm belongs to me, Shen Yun. I hope you won't interfere in the Great Simplicity realm's affairs. I'll handle it myself. Shen Yun knew that Kong Zai was stronger than him, but he also understood Kong Zai's nature. He should not forcibly occupy the Great Simplicity realm. Kong Zai sighed. Shen Yun, I'm stopping you for your own good. If I don't stop you today, I'm afraid that your soul will disappear in the future and you will disappear in the universe. Shen Yun did not even bother to answer this time. He was sure that Kong Zai was deliberately threatening him. Kong Zai, who did not care about Shen Yun's attitude, added, how is your strength compared to mine? Shen Yun's sullen voice came from the void. My current strength is indeed not as good as yours because my physical body was destroyed and my soul was damaged. That's why I can't recover as fast as you. Kong Zai, you should also ask yourself if I'm not your match if our strength recovers completely. Even if I'm not your match now, you can't do anything to me. For the sake of our past friendship, please step aside and don't interfere in the Great Simplicity realm's affairs. Kong Zai spoke up speechlessly. You also know that I'm slightly stronger than you right now. But let me tell you, I'm far from being Ning Cheng's opponent. Maybe for Ning Cheng, my spirit techniques are not even worth mentioning. As for being far from being Ning Cheng's opponent, it was something Kong Zai estimated. When Ning Cheng had just left the Great Simplicity realm, he should have been stronger than Ning Cheng. But he also knew that Ning Cheng had only cultivated for a short period of time. Now that so many years had passed, Ning Cheng's strength must have reached an unimaginable level. Moreover, his strength wasn't much stronger than it was back then. What? Shen Yun exclaimed in shock. How was this possible? He had also felt Kong Zai's strength just now. Even when he was at his peak, he couldn't say that Kong Zai's current strength was not worth mentioning. Did you deceive me? Shen Yun quickly reacted and spoke with a gloomy tone. Kong Zai sneered. Shen Yun, what do you have to deceive me? Your territory is nothing to me. With your strength, I can still easily suppress you. Deceive you? You think too highly of yourself. To tell you the truth, before Ning Cheng left the Great Simplicity realm, he easily defeated Xian Mao. Don't tell me you're not familiar with Xian Mao. He's the guy who cultivates a strength cultivation method. In addition, Ning Cheng also fought against Xing Shi, who possesses the good fortune Azure Lotus. By the way, Xing Shi's strength has already reached the third step. Shen Yun, do you think you have the confidence or strength to compete with others? Shen Yun sucked in a breath of cold air and didn't say anything. If Ning Cheng could defeat Xian Mao, or even fight against a third-step good fortune treasure owner, then he, Shen Yun, would definitely be nothing in front of Ning Cheng. At this time, he didn't dare to doubt Kong Zai's words. Ning Cheng's strength had indeed soared rapidly in the Great Simplicity realm, and he could indeed fight against enemies on a higher level. Seeing that Shen Yun didn't say anything, Kong Zai once again spoke up lazily. Shen Yun, I'll remind you one last time. Leave the Great Simplicity realm as soon as possible. When Ning Cheng comes back, I'm afraid you won't be able to leave even if you want to. I know Ning Cheng's temper. If someone dares to close the Great Simplicity realm, he will probably destroy that person's soul completely. Shen Yun gave a cold snort. I, Shen Yun, am not one to be threatened. Kong Zai said faintly, you know very well whether I like to threaten people or not. I'm just telling you a fact. Back then, 14 third-step experts besieged Ning Cheng and another Dao integration holy emperor. In the end, the two of them killed 8 or 9 of them, and the remaining few begged for mercy to save their lives. By the way, among the 14 third-step experts, there were also 4 realm integration experts. On the Immortal Ring Island hundreds of millions of miles away from the Great Simplicity Mountain, Shen Yun's solidified body trembled slightly when he heard this. A sense of fear rose from the bottom of his heart for no reason. Although he firmly believed that he wouldn't be threatened by Kong Zai still threatened him. Kong Zai generally wouldn't lie about such things. Since Kong Zai said that Ning Cheng and a Dao integration holy emperor had to deal with 14 third-step experts, then it was true. He naturally ignored the Dao integration holy emperor who teamed up with Ning Cheng. Kong Zai's words meant that Ning Cheng had to deal with 14 third-step experts by himself and protect the Dao integration holy emperor. This kind of strength was absolutely terrifying. Even if the 14 third-step experts were fake third-step experts, it was still extremely shocking. He didn't know that the Dao integration holy emperor Kong Zai was talking about was Yi Mo, someone stronger than Ning Cheng. Shen Yun fell completely silent and didn't say anything. Dao Lord Ao Wu's face changed slightly and she carefully retreated. She didn't expect Great Simplicity Mountain to have someone stronger than a great Dao Lord. If she knew, she wouldn't have come here in such a hurry. What? You destroyed our Great Simplicity Mountain's defense formation and you want to leave? Chu Manha saw Dao Lord Ao Wu's actions and said sarcastically. Chapter 1376. What do you want? Dao Lord Proud Dance said with a gloomy face. If what Kong Zai said was true, then this Grand Dao Lord would never be able to rise again. She had never met Ning Cheng before, but she had heard too much about the way Ning Cheng did things. Just as Kong Zai said, if Ning Cheng was truly that powerful, then Grand Dao Lords would never be able to merge with their realms. Wait. Ning Rulan walked over and stared at Dao Lord Proud Dance for a while before suddenly asking, is there anyone in Dao Lord's family who looks similar to Dao Lord? Ning Rulan immediately thought of Ning Ruoqing when she saw Dao Lord Proud Dance. However, she didn't have a chance to speak. In fact, Ji Luofei also felt that Dao Lord Proud Dance and Ning Ruoqing looked similar. The only difference was that Dao Lord Proud Dance had an arrogant attitude, which was completely different from Ning Ruoqing. Dao Lord Proud Dance frowned, this is my personal matter. What does it have to do with you? Ning Rulan cupped her fists, Senior Proud Dance, I know a woman who looks like Senior, both in appearance and manner. Of course, if you have nothing to do with her, then please talk to Senior Chu. After saying that, Ning Rulan retreated to Ji Luofei's side. Like Ji Luofei, she didn't ask anymore. Regardless of whether this person had a relationship with Ning Ruoqing or not, they didn't want to make friends with her. What? Dao Lord Proud Dance exclaimed. Her figure flashed and she raised her hand to grab Ning Rulan. Chu Manha snorted in disdain. With a wave of her hand, Dao Lord Proud Dance flew away. Dao Lord Proud Dance's strength wasn't any weaker than Chu Manha. Moreover, under the guidance of Dao Lord Earth, her strength even improved. With Dao Lord Proud Dance's current strength, Chu Manha naturally couldn't send her flying. It was mainly because Dao Lord Proud Dance lost her sense of propriety after hearing Ning Ruolan's words. Even though Dao Lord Proud Dance had been sent flying by Chu Manha, she did not have the slightest intention of blaming Chu Manha. She still flashed over and asked anxiously, "Junior sister, did you just say that there was a woman who looked very similar to me?" At this moment, not only Ning Ruolan, but even Chu Manha and the others could tell that the woman Ning Ruolan mentioned had a relationship with Proud Dance. "Ruoqing is here," Luofei whispered. As expected, Ning Ruoqing charged over with a magic treasure in her hand. Ning Ruoqing had been in cultivation retreat all these years. Unfortunately, even Ji Luofei had reached the Dao birth realm, while Ning Ruoqing was still lingering in the Dao birth realm. Ning Cheng had gone out for nearly 10,000 years. Otherwise, Ning Cheng would have already helped Ning Ruoqing, who had been in seclusion, to check on her. "Who dares touch my big brother's place?" Ning Ruoqing shouted before she even arrived. After so many years, even though she still did not know where she came from, her mind gradually became clear. Dao Lord Proud Dance stared at the murderous Ning Ruoqing, tears streaming down her face. She had never thought that she would see again one day. All of a sudden, the sense of loss and uncertainty disappeared. Boom boom boom. In an empty space, an originally complete space suddenly collapsed layer by layer. Then, it extended out endlessly, forming layers of collapse. The spear Dao's killing intent that filled this part of the void also spread out along with the collapsing void, complementing and merging with the layers of collapsing space. In the face of this boundless collapsing void and tearing killing intent, anyone within it could only choose to avoid it or die. This killing intent didn't even feel like a Dao charm spirit technique. Instead, it felt like the might of heaven and earth in the vast void. This wasn't a heaven-falling earth-rending technique, but it was much stronger than an ordinary heaven-falling earth-rending technique. Ning Cheng put away his long spear and stood in the void. He quietly looked at the collapsing void in front of him with a calm heart. He didn't know how long he had deduced for this spear move. However, he hadn't specifically cultivated it, and his cultivation had already reached the middle stage Dao integration realm. Ning Cheng knew that a lot of time had passed. Whoosh! The void that Ning Cheng's spear blasted apart disappeared at this moment. Perhaps it didn't look any different to the naked eye, but Ning Cheng knew that a part of the void had indeed disappeared. This spear move is called the Traceless Sky Collapse. Ning Cheng muttered to himself. This was the divine power of his traceless spear and the collapse of the void. Then, he raised his hand and the creation divine spear once again landed on his back. Although he was at the middle stage Dao integration realm, coupled with the traceless sky collapse, he still couldn't deal with Xing Shi. However, it wouldn't be that easy for Xing Shi to kill him either. Ning Cheng understood that after so many years, his strength had increased a lot. Xing Shi's strength had probably also increased a lot. His cultivation level had improved very little. From the early stage Dao integration realm to the middle stage Dao integration realm, most of it was the foundation he had laid in the past. All these years, he had spent purely on this traceless sky collapse divine power. Standing in the void, Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness passed through layers of realms but still couldn't find a specific location. In his spiritual consciousness, apart from the vast void, there was only the vast void. Ning Cheng simply started to tear the void continuously, crossing one void after another. He believed that since the void around heavens beyond was so vast, he would eventually be able to find a familiar location. Another 6 months passed and Ning Cheng even felt a little numb. The vastness of the void made him feel increasingly insignificant. Not only did he not find a familiar plane in half a year, but he also felt that he had gone further and further away. On this day, when Ning Cheng tore through another void interface, an extremely powerful spatial fluctuation emerged from it. The moment he sensed this fluctuation, Ning Cheng stopped in his tracks. After all, he was a middle-stage Dao integration expert. As soon as this fluctuation appeared, Ning Qing knew that the two people fighting were far stronger than him. Not only were they stronger than him, but even Xing Shi was not their match. If Xing Shi wanted to kill him now, it would be almost impossible. But if these two powerhouses wanted to kill Ning Qing, it would be a simple task. Ning Qing took a deep breath and didn't even dare to turn around and escape. He vaguely felt that the aura was somewhat familiar. Boom! The void collapsed once again. It was like a tall building that had its foundation blown up, and it collapsed at once. Ning Qing was speechless. He had spent a lot of time in the void in order to deduce the traceless sky collapse divine power. However, the collision of the divine powers of the two people in front of him easily collapsed the void. Although this collapse was different from his layers of tearing and collapsing, it was also related to the nomological divine power. The Tao runes colliding and exploding in the void swept towards Ning Qing, who kept retreating. When Ning Qing caught hold of the two powerful Tao charm auras, Ning Qing instantly felt them. He was faintly familiar with these two Tao rune auras. One of the Tao runes was the giant hand that had wanted to grab the indestructible axe when it had condensed. The other Tao rune aura was the axe intent aura of the indestructible axe. Ning Qing shuddered. The indestructible axe really had a master, and it was such a powerful guy. Suddenly, he felt an extreme sense of urgency. If the indestructible axe had a master, would the original owner of the mysterious yellow bead come to find him, take away the mysterious yellow bead, and refine him into the mysterious yellow bead's creation spirit? Xing Shi and Yi Mo probably felt this sense of urgency, which was why they couldn't wait to go to the Chaos Realm. He was only at the middle stage Tao integration now. What should he do? With Yi Mo's ability, he would definitely be a third-step expert after coming out of the Chaos Realm. Once he succeeded in creating the Chaos Realm, it would be impossible for the original owner of the Golden Page World to snatch the Golden Page World from him and refine him into the creation spirit. Thinking of this, Ning Qing realized that out of the three people who had the creation treasure, he was the most miserable one. He had the weakest cultivation level and faced the greatest danger. We meet again. An old voice appeared in Ning Qing's ears, and a skinny old man landed in front of him. This old man looked like he had fused with the entire universe. There was not the slightest bit of awkwardness. Ning Qing was shocked to find that he couldn't see through the old man's strength. Ning Qing greet Senior. Ning Qing bowed. He even had a feeling that this old man was a kind of Tao, and the Tao was this old man. Your strength has made good progress. It hasn't been long, but you're already at the mid-stage of Tao integration. The old man nodded. Then, his gaze fell on the creation divine spear on Ning Qing's back. Ning Qing's heart tightened. He didn't dare to neglect and said respectfully again, Junior was lucky and encountered some opportunities. The old man smiled and moved his gaze away from Ning Qing's creation divine spear. You're indeed lucky. You seem to be lost. Ning Qing quickly said, yes, Junior was indeed careless and lost my way in the vast void. I was looking for someone to ask, but I didn't expect to meet Senior. The old man raised his hand and threw a gray ball to Ning Qing. This is the location ball of this universe's void. I can recognize this place even with my eyes closed. I'll give it to you to form a good karma. Thank you, Senior. Ning Qing quickly took the gray ball and thanked him profusely. This was what he wanted the most. The old man sighed. I only saw you with a spiritual will and even wanted to take you in as a disciple. Now, it seems that I was a bit boastful. I'm leaving. I can't do without you in the future. We will meet again. Ning Qing quickly asked, may I ask if Senior is Tao Lord Hongjun of the Purple Cloud Palace? He had long suspected that this old man was Hongjun. Only Tao Lord Hongjun, who possessed the Good Fortune Jade Disc, could repel the owner of the Good Fortune indestructible axe. The old man laughed, Tao is not Tao, human is not human. Pity me, how torturous. After the old man finished speaking, his figure disappeared from Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness. Ning Cheng didn't even notice how the other party disappeared. Looking at the void in the distance, Ning Cheng felt admiration in his heart. This was a true powerhouse, not someone who would snatch good things from others. From the other party's gaze, he obviously knew that his creation divine spear was powerful. However, he only glanced at it. Not only did he not make a move, but he also gave him a grey void location ball and told him that they would meet again in the future. But, Tao is not Tao, human is not human. Pity me, how torturous. What did this sentence mean? Chapter 1377. Ning Cheng took out the grey sphere and swept it with his spiritual consciousness. The sphere was dotted with starlight and contained an endless aura of the void. The various void positional markers were very clear, and even Ning Cheng's current location was displayed. At the top of the positional sphere were two tiny words, world mountains and rivers. Ning Cheng secretly marveled in his heart. Just from the name alone, this was not an ordinary positional sphere, but a top-grade void positional weapon. This old man named Zi Xiao was truly generous. Even he would not give such a thing to a person he met for the first time. Following the positional markers, Ning Cheng quickly found a reference object, the Milky Way. Or rather, it was the only place Ning Cheng was familiar with. Rumors had it that the Milky Way was a place that prevented the cowherd and the weaver maid from meeting. Of course, Ning Cheng was not a fool to think that the cowherd and the weaver maid were real people. Most of the time, it was just a fake story, not comparable to the origin of Hongjun. Ning Cheng brought out the starry sky wheel and quickly approached the Milky Way. Although he did not know where the Milky Way was, the name sounded familiar. The positional markers in the world mountains and rivers looked very close, but the real distance was vast and boundless. Ning Cheng followed the instructions of the void positional sphere and slowly approached the Milky Way after tearing through many interfaces. On the positional sphere of the world mountains and rivers, the Milky Way was just a slender silver ribbon. When Ning Cheng stood next to the Milky Way, he was shocked by the vast aura. A boundless silver river rolled in front of him, with waves coming from afar and then moving away again. The giant waves were tens of thousands of feet tall, and they came crashing down one after another, creating a magnificent sight. The silver spray at the top of the waves looked like little silver beans of different sizes, constantly dancing on the surface of the silver river. Delicate clouds play tricks, flying stars spread hatred, the silver river passes through the darkness. As Ning Cheng thought of this poem, he immediately threw this poem to one side, and in his mind came another poem that was even more magnificent. The rolling Yangtze River flows east, the waves wash away all the heroes. Success or failure turns into nothing. The green mountains are still there, the sunset is red. Ning Cheng did not know which direction the Milky Way was flowing to, nor did he know where it flowed to. However, it gave Ning Cheng a feeling of grandeur in the passage of time. The void at the edge of the Milky Way formed a bank of the laws of the world, automatically restraining the silver waves of the Milky Way in the raging river, not letting a single strand of it overflow. Whoosh! A huge silver wave came crashing down on the Milky Way's shore. At the same time, Ning Cheng also understood why the primal chaos bell sound could be heard here. This primal chaos bell sound should have been left behind during the primal chaos bells battle. The bell sound had been locked by the aura of the two sky-reaching pillars. In the absence of outsiders, the Tao charm of this bell sound wouldn't be triggered. But now, he suddenly rushed in and triggered the primal chaos bell sound. From the looks of it, that woman, Xing Shi, also knew about the primal chaos bell's bell sound. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness permeated out. Although he couldn't sense the location of the person imprisoned by Xing Shi, he still felt that something was wrong. It seemed to come from the bottom of the Milky Way. Ning Cheng only hesitated for a moment before directly extending his domain. At the same time, the creation divine spear formed a spear-intent domain around him. Then, he rushed under the Milky Way without hesitation. Even if he didn't save anyone, he would destroy what Xing-Shi was doing. An extremely powerful wave came crashing down on him, causing Ningcheng to feel a sense of danger. If the waves in the Earth's sea were formed by water, then the silver waves here were formed by steel. If the waves in the Earth's sea were formed by water, then the silver waves here were formed by steel. Perhaps every silver droplet was countless times harder than steel. Above the Milky Way, Ningcheng still had some ability to fight back. After entering the Milky Way, Ningcheng felt how small he was. His domain shrank due to the powerful Tao charm laws. It seemed that in the next moment, he would be crushed along with his domain. The further down he went, the stronger the Milky Way's pressure became. Even with Ning Cheng's mid-stage Tao integration strength, he could smell a hint of death. Ning Cheng was shocked. He really didn't know how Xing-Shi had set up the confinement restriction here and sent people here to guard it. This woman was really terrifying. He could only hope that the sacred Tao sect master, Yi Mo, could reach the third step in the chaos realm. Only then could he restrain this woman a little. A trace of blood overflowed from the corner of Ning Cheng's mouth, and his protective Tao charm cracked. This was the first time he had been pressured to such an extent. Fortunately, Ning Cheng finally felt the aura of the confinement restriction Xing-Shi had set up. As long as he could find the restriction Xing-Shi had set up, he was confident in breaking it. It was a fact that Xing-Shi was stronger than him, but her array Tao wasn't necessarily much better than Ning Cheng's. What's more, Ning Cheng not only saved 2 people but also broke one of Xing-Shi's defensive points. Did you save us? The consciousness of the woman on the left finally became clear, as she looked at Ning Cheng and asked in doubt. Ning Cheng replied, "There doesn't seem to be a fourth person here." Although this woman's cultivation hadn't fully recovered, Ning Cheng could feel her cultivation realm from her body. It should be at the early stage of Tao integration. The woman on the right had a slightly weaker cultivation level, but she was also at the primordial chaos realm. The woman on the right also opened her eyes. Her cultivation base and life force were also rapidly recovering. "How can you come here? Why didn't that woman stop you?" The woman on the left had already completely sobered up, as she looked at Ning Cheng in amazement. She had witnessed Xing-Shi's strength. With her strength after Tao integration, it was extremely rare for her to meet a match in the void. However, Xing-Shi had easily restrained her. "Are you talking about Xing-Shi? That woman is trying to improve her cultivation level. I'm afraid she doesn't have time to come here." "You don't have to worry. After leaving the Milky Way, you can go wherever you want," Ning Cheng explained. "Her name is Xing-Shi." The woman on the left repeated. She immediately thought that what she should do now was to thank Ning Cheng for saving her life. "Lingbo thanks Tao friend for saving my master and disciple." The woman on the left didn't continue to ask. Instead, she bowed to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng had never seen Lingbo before and didn't know where she came from. He didn't expect that the primordial chaos divine emperor was Lingbo's disciple. "Luo Xian greets Tao friend. Thank you for saving my life." The woman on the right also walked over and bowed to thank him. Her voice was soft and didn't contain any impatience. It was as if she had been imprisoned here for countless years, which was just a trivial matter. Ning Cheng secretly praised this woman in his heart. This woman was born to be a competitor for the Tao. Even her master, Lingbo's master, was not as good as this woman called Luo Xian. "My name is Ning Cheng. I happened to save you at the right time. We can't stay here for long. I've already destroyed the restrictions in this place. If we continue to stay here, the Milky Way outside will soon squeeze this place into nothingness," Ning Cheng said. Even if he and Xing-Shi had a deep hatred, he still admired Xing-Shi's ability. Don't look at how he easily destroyed the restriction array left by Xing Shi. If he had to set up a restriction array here alone, he wouldn't be able to do it. Of course, it wasn't that his Tao of arrays wasn't as good as Xing Shi's, but that his strength was far from Xing Shi's. Lingbo looked at the Milky Way water outside the restriction and said with worry, "I'm afraid it will be difficult to go up. Although this isn't the bottom of the Milky Way, we can't go up with our strength." She could vaguely see that Ning Cheng's strength was far inferior to Xing Shi's. Since Ning Cheng wasn't as good as Xing Shi, he might not be able to take them out of the Milky Way. Ning Cheng smiled, "You don't have to worry. Since I can come down, I can take you up." Going up and coming down were different. The pressure would get weaker and weaker while the pressure would get stronger and stronger. For Ning Cheng, as long as he could block the Milky Way's pressure, he could rush out of the Milky Way. "Thank you, Tao friend Ning." Lingbo also knew that apart from Ning Cheng, they had no other way out. Even if she knew that Ning Cheng couldn't take them out, she still had to follow Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng saw Lingbo's worries. With a sweep of the good fortune divine spear, he brought out a space-protecting domain and rushed up with Lingbo and Luo Xian. Just as Ning Cheng expected, the moment the three of them rushed out of Xing Shi's restrictions, Ning Cheng's protective domain started to crack and crack open. However, it only lasted for a moment. After a while, Ning Cheng took the two of them out of the pressure range. Ning Cheng easily repaired the protective domain cracked by the Milky Way's pressure. In just a few breaths, the three of them set foot on the Milky Way again. Seeing the waves crashing over, but unable to pull Ning Cheng, who was protecting the two of them, into the Milky Way again, Lingbo felt shocked. Ning Cheng's strength had far exceeded her expectations. In her opinion, Ning Cheng's strength had probably reached the third step. "I'll send you out of the Milky Way." When Ning Cheng saw the rings in their hands, he knew that Xing Shi looked down on them and didn't take their rings. Therefore, he did not propose to give anything to the two of them. "Many thanks, Tao friend Ning." Lingbo bowed again and thanked him. If Ning Cheng hadn't helped, she wouldn't have been able to leave by herself. After comprehending for such a long time above the Milky Way, Ning Cheng directly shot out his spear this time. Void cracks appeared on the Milky Way's law embankment. Then, Ning Cheng raised his spear, and a gap appeared in front of the three of them. Before Lingbo and Luo Xian could react, a force swept over and sent them out of the Milky Way. This time, Ning Cheng didn't even use his law-breaking finger to directly split open the Milky Way's law embankment. With Lingbo's Tao integration realm and Luo Xian's primordial chaos strength, they were more than enough to protect themselves in the void. So strong. Lingbo landed in the void and looked at Ning Cheng, who was still in the Milky Way, in shock. "Good luck." By the time Ning Cheng's words reached Luo Xian and Lingbo's ears, his figure had already disappeared without a trace along with the undulating silver waves. "Master, why don't you ask him if he wants to come with us? I heard that it's difficult to leave this side of the Milky Way's space after entering." Luo Xian asked as she watched Ning Cheng disappear. Lingbo said, looking at how he easily tore open the Milky Way's law embankment, "It shows that he's extremely powerful. It should be easy for him to leave the Milky Way." "No, I mean, he can't find an interface with people. We have the opening heaven talisman, so we can take him with us." Luo Xian explained. Lingbo sighed and looked at Ruo Shi before asking, "Luo Xian, do you think it would take him a lot of effort to kill us both?" Luo Xian shook her head subconsciously, "I don't think so. He's very strong." Lingbo also spoke up in agreement, "Yes, this person called Ning Cheng, his strength has reached an inconceivable level. If we took out a supreme treasure like the opening heaven talisman in front of him, do you think an expert like him wouldn't try to snatch it?" Luo Xian immediately said, "No, we're imprisoned here, and our vitality is scattered. Even a top-grade spiritual object can't restore us in a short time. Moreover, the thing he gave us is definitely a top-grade treasure. Otherwise, my strength wouldn't have recovered by more than half, and my vitality wouldn't have recovered so quickly. Lingbo sighed again, we can't let go of our guard. He saved us, and when we grow stronger in the future, we can repay him in other ways. The opening heaven talisman is too important and precious. If I hadn't hidden in the deepest part of my sea of consciousness, I'm afraid that woman would have already snatched it away. Now that we take out the opening heaven talisman, we might end up harming ourselves and others. This time, Luo Xian remained silent. Although she didn't agree with her master's words, she knew what her master meant. Let's leave this place first. After Lingbo finished, she raised her hand and waved out a golden talisman. At the same time, her spiritual sense swept out. The golden talisman glowed with a dazzling golden light, and soon tore open a rift in the void. Then, she took Luo Xian and disappeared without a trace through the rift in the void. Ning Qing suddenly paused, his face filled with surprise. His spiritual consciousness swept towards the place where Lingbo and Ruoxi left. This was the aura of the opening heaven talisman. Ning Qing was too familiar with it. Zhang Wei had an opening heaven talisman. He had observed it up close, so how could he forget it? Then he shook his head and muttered to himself, I didn't expect these two people to have the opening heaven talisman. If that woman, Xing Shi, knew that these two people had the opening heaven talisman, I guess her intestines would turn green with regret. Chapter 1379. In the middle of the god's tomb mound, countless planes away from where Ning Qing was, a burst of laughter rang out. If Ning Qing was here, he would have felt that this voice was familiar. It was the same voice that had guided him to leave the slaughter world of the god's tomb mound. Ha ha ha. In the center of the slaughter world of the god's tomb mound, the laughter continued, and then a gray figure slowly solidified in the center of the slaughter world. This person wore gray clothes and gray hair, and even his face had a trace of gray aura, giving off a sense of decline. But his eyes were extremely demonic and bright, as if he could see through all the mysteries of this world. I didn't expect that I, Wang Baigong, would have such a day, ha ha ha. The gray-robed man couldn't contain his feelings of hiding for countless years and released them without any scruples. He indeed had a reason to be excited. How many powerhouses had been trapped in the slaughter world? How many powerhouses had been lost in the slaughter world? As for a person like him, because of his careful concealment, he was saved by a small ant in the end. In his opinion, Ning Qing was just a puny ant. Even if Ning Qing reached Tao integration in the slaughter world, he was still an ant in his eyes. After laughing for a long time, he raised his hand and waved it, and a magic weapon overflowing with Tao charms surrounded him. Each of these magic weapons was top-notch, and they were the accumulation of his countless years of hiding in the slaughter world. A silly kid, he actually just asked this lord for a radiant core, ha ha ha. Thinking of Ning Cheng's incomparably happy appearance when he obtained the radiant core, Wang Baigong couldn't help but feel a burst of contempt in his heart, and couldn't help but laugh wildly. Compared to the light core, he had too many better things. Wang Baigong raised his hand and swept up the magic weapons overflowing with Tao charm. He had already decided that before leaving the slaughter world, he must make a fortune. Moreover, that kid who reached Tao integration in the slaughter world most likely had a good fortune treasure. He would look for him after leaving this place. Presumably, what he said to that kid must have scared him. Although what he said was true, as long as he could scare that kid, he, Wang Baigong, would have a chance to seize the good fortune treasure. It was indeed dangerous to obtain the good fortune treasure, but who was Wang Baigong? He was someone who had experienced the good fortune war and then escaped from the slaughter world. Perhaps, when the second gate of fortune opened, he, Wang Baigong, would be its master. Just as Wang Baigong was still indulging in his fantasies, the entire slaughter world suddenly erupted with waves of heaven-shaking tremors. This was like an aura that shook the entire slaughter world. Fate Tao Lord, Chaos Tao Lord, Karma Tao Lord, Star Tao Lord, Which of these top-notch supremacy experts had not reached the third step of Tao validation in the Chaos realm? Now, someone was going to reach the third step of Tao validation in the Chaos realm. When Bai Gong looked at the chaotic spatial law of the slaughter realm and the killing aura that was everywhere, he sighed to himself. The creation gate is finally going to open again. Will I, Wen Bai Gong, live or die? Wen Bai Gong, who had just condensed his physical body and could not help but take out his countless Dharma treasures proudly, had his fighting spirit reduced by half. It was not that his willpower was weak. It was because he knew how terrifying and powerful the experts who reached the third step of Tao validation in the Chaos realm were. No matter how ferocious his willpower was, it would be like a mantis trying to stop a chariot in front of them. In a space filled with the vast heaven-earth chaos aura, a woman in a yellow dress was standing in the void. Waves of earth-splitting aura condensed and revolved around her body. These Tao runes formed the sound of Tao runes in the world and roared ceaselessly. The aura of the Tao runes around her also kept rising along with the sound of the Tao runes. Divine abilities flickered in and out of existence, emitting a celestial phoenix cry. There was a green lotus with 11 petals under her feet. The Tao rune aura of the green lotus was constantly improving and sublimating in the vast and majestic chaos aura. At that moment, the woman in the yellow dress suddenly trembled slightly. The vast Tao runes condensed around the green lotus also loosened at that moment. The woman in the yellow dress woke up from her epiphany. She looked up at the void outside the chaos realm and muttered to herself sternly, "No matter who you are, you will definitely die for breaking the guardian spirit that I used to collect the sky-reaching pillar." After saying that, she closed her eyes again. She had wanted to enter the chaos realm many times in the past, but she had never been able to figure out a way to enter. Now that she had finally entered, she definitely would not waste her time and opportunity on anger. However, before she could sink into that epiphany again, the chaotic heaven-earth law around her became even more chaotic. An intense heaven-earth fluctuation surged in the surroundings. The chaos aura seemed to form a giant word that could open the sky. Then, it condensed in one direction like a line. The vast heaven-earth Tao rune aura transformed into rolling thunder. The rolling thunder blasted away the Tao runes of the phoenix cry that she had condensed. Then, it turned into a torrent that flowed towards Lei Ming's location. The woman's eyes widened and she gritted her teeth. "You dare to vindicate Tao third step in the chaos realm? Die." This woman was Xing Shi, who suddenly left heaven beyond heaven. It had been nearly 10,000 years since she found the chaos realm and went in to learn the chaos realm Tao wave. To her, if she had some more time, she would definitely be able to successfully merge the realms. In the chaos realm merging would allow her power to soar limitlessly. When she created the realms, she didn't find the chaos realm. Now that the realm merging was here, it wasn't too late. Billions of km away from Xing Shi, a blue-robed youth stood at the top of a huge peak. In fact, his feet didn't touch the ground. He was still a few meters from the ground. This blue-robed youth also suddenly left from the Heaven Beyond Heaven tournament and found Yi Mo in the Chaos Realm. The Chaos Realm was boundless. Spirit sense couldn't reach further. Even though Yi Mo and Xing Shi both knew he came to the Chaos Realm, they couldn't find where he was. After entering the Chaos Realm, Yi Mo realized what the flaw of his God art was. All of his sacred arts had undergone nirvana, but compared to the nomological Tao runes that were equivalent to the creation of heaven and earth, his sacred arts were still lacking a type of spiritual marrow. This was something created by the world. It was a spirit and dedication bestowed to God art. Before, he only used his God art as a reflection of his cultivation level. The stronger he was, the stronger his God art was. In reality, everything in the world had spirituality. Even if it was a divine ability, it would also have spirituality. No wonder he was only one level lower than this woman but had such a huge difference in power. The root cause was this. Yi Mo took a deep breath and focused all his attention on fusing his spirit will with the surrounding chaos heaven's Tao runes. He was constantly deducing and fusing his own sacred art. The chaotic law qi around him would make an ordinary Tao integration divine emperor go crazy. But in front of Yi Mo's three-birth chant, it wasn't affected at all. At this moment, he didn't think about quickly creating realms or improving his power. He just endlessly perfected his god art. 1 year was too short. 10,000 years wasn't long either. In cultivation, the most worthless thing was time. In the blink of an eye, 10,000 years had passed. Heaven flame 9 suns, 5 spear lightning kill, instant breath, ice space, 1 side, samsara, falling mark sword rune, rumble. The fusion power of heaven and earth formed around Yi Mo. Yi Mo suddenly opened his eyes. There was no sadness or joy in his eyes. He knew clearly that it was time for him to create a realm. With a wave of his hand, the entire chaos realm rumbled. The vast world qi fluctuated and laws turned into Tao words. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.